Chapter 2267. It was good that Lin Haoyu's promise couldn't be fulfilled. Otherwise, Ling Xiao really didn't know how to face Cheng Feiying. In his life, he only loved Moon Maiden. As for other girls, they could only be his confidants at most. If Lin Haoyu really wanted to marry Cheng Feiying to him, he didn't know how to deal with it. However, the next words of the Orange Fairy Mountain's mountain lord made Ling Xiao a little unhappy. The Orange Fairy Mountain's mountain lord explained, "There's really no other way. The Sand Clan's patriarch personally gave a betrothal gift for Feiying to marry Desert Cloud." Desert Cloud? Why is it this guy again? He's just a bodyguard of Desert Sea. How can he make the Sand Clan's patriarch personally propose marriage? Ling Xiao frowned. That's right. I didn't want to agree at first, but the other party is the Sand Clan's patriarch. This time the sect punished Desert Sea because of your matter. I can only turn a blind eye to this matter. Sigh. The Orange Fairy Mountain's mountain lord sighed. It was obvious that he didn't want his granddaughter to marry Desert Cloud. Is he targeting me? Ling Xiao sneered. He knows that you said such things, yet he still purposely came to propose marriage. This is clearly a slap to my face, to let me know that the Sand Clan is the one in charge of 8 Immortal Mountain. That's possible. After all, when I said those words, Desert Cloud was standing by the side. The Orange Fairy Mountain's mountain lord nodded. Cheng Feiying, I'm sorry this time. That Desert Cloud is someone I want to deal with. Your marriage won't happen. Ling Xiao suddenly looked at Cheng Feiying and said, "If you really have the ability, I'd be happy to watch a show." Cheng Feiying also didn't like Desert Cloud. She had her own crush, someone from 8 Immortal Mountain, but definitely not someone from the Sand Clan. It was a pity that this time that person didn't stand up to oppose her marriage with Desert Cloud. This made her somewhat disappointed. Ling Xiao's sudden rise gave her some hope, making her feel a little strange about this martial artist from a remote town. After bidding farewell to everyone, Ling Xiao stepped into the Hall of Rewards, Virtues and Punishments for Evil to exchange for contribution points. He exchanged the 13 Netherworld weapons for 1,300 contribution points. In this way, his contribution points had reached 1,800 points. Among the disciples of the 8 Immortal Mountains, this was definitely an astronomical figure. With so many contribution points, Ling Xiao was no longer interested in rewarding the good and punishing the evil Hall. After all, the steel-armored bull demon martial soul was only worth 500 contribution points. After the exchange, he still had 1,300 contribution points left. It was enough to get something else. Just as he was about to find Lin Haoyu to exchange for the steel-armored bull demon martial spirit, his path was blocked by someone. It was actually a sea of sand. Hee, isn't this young Master Sansi? You wasted a 9 transformations life rejuvenation pill to save your life. You should be recuperating. What are you doing out here? Ling Xiao sneered as he looked at Sha Hai, his eyes full of sarcasm and mockery. Boom! Sha Hai did not say anything. Instead, he released his powerful aura. First Revolution, Yin Yang Realm 2nd level, early stage of hell. You broke through. Ling Xiao frowned. He did not expect Sha Hai to benefit from this disaster. It seemed that the 9 transformations life rejuvenation pill could not only save lives, but also improve a person's physique. That's right, I broke through. Are you afraid? Sha Hai looked coldly at Ling Xiao. This time, it was his turn to reveal a mocking smile. Afraid? Ha! Ling Xiao laughed happily. Your stupidity hasn't been cured yet? The last time you went against me, you were killed by me. Fortunately, the 9 transformations life rejuvenation pill saved your life. You didn't cherish it and actually came to provoke me. It seems like you're prepared to die again. However, your sand race shouldn't have the same kind of pill, right? Laugh to your heart's content. Wait for me to consolidate my current cultivation. Then, we'll meet at the 8 Immortal Mountains examination. Last time I lost to you. Count it as my bad luck. However, this time you won't have another chance." Sha Hai said coldly, turned around and left. Looking at his departing figure, Ling Xiao's expression gradually turned cold and gloomy. "Do you think that the heavens are helping you by increasing your cultivation? No, God probably saw that I didn't manage to kill you and couldn't stand it anymore. He's prepared for me to do it again," Ling Xiao said coldly. With Sha Hai's current cultivation, even if he did not break through, he could still kill him. One had to know that Yuan Neng was at this level of strength after he was seriously injured. However, he was still killed by him. Even so, Ling Xiao was still unhappy. He wanted to increase his strength as soon as possible and defeat Sha Hai more decisively. He could not give Sha Hai any false impression that he could surpass or defeat him. He wanted Sha Hai to give up completely. After separating from Sha Hai, Ling Xiao went to Lin Haoyu's place. He wanted to use 500 contribution points to exchange for the steel-armored bull demon martial soul. However, the result that he got disappointed him greatly. It was snatched away. Ling Xiao asked in shock. Sha Hai took away the steel-armored bull demon martial soul with the order of the Sand Clan's patriarch. Lin Haoyu sighed. "Is he targeting me?" Ling Xiao asked. "It should be. After Sha Hai came here, he didn't want anything else but the steel-armored bull demon martial soul." Lin Haoyu replied, "Although I am the Outer Hall master, I can't refuse someone who used contribution points to exchange for it in the order of the Sand Clan's patriarch." Ling Xiao understood that Lin Haoyu was right. Lin Haoyu would not openly make an enemy of the Sand Clan for him. Moreover, there was no point in doing so. Lin Haoyu would not give it to him. As long as the owner of the steel-armored bull demon martial soul was willing, it would be fine. "Zhou Tong, that guy, he must have leaked the news that I need the steel-armored bull demon martial soul." Ling Xiao immediately thought of the few people at the banquet. Zhou Tong was naturally the most suspicious. Chu Rinfeng had a normal relationship with him. There was no enmity or kindness between them. Feng Ru had a very good relationship with him. The Black Fairy Mountain's mountain master had the intention to nurture him. Other than Zhou Tong, it could not be anyone else. "Good, very good. Since you don't want me to become stronger, I will show you how strong I am. Fortunately, you don't know about my lava battle body. Then, I will use the remaining contribution points to exchange for herbs and lava origin jades." When Ling Xiao was in the ghost prison, his intermediate lightning battle body and intermediate lava battle body could naturally continue to improve. He still had a lot of thunder origin jades left. There was no need to exchange them, so he exchanged for a lot of lava origin jades. There were also soul gems. There were also supplementary herbs to refine the demon seed and materials to refine the yin-yang origin force pill. Ling Xiao understood this principle very well. If he wanted to make breakthroughs in his cultivation, he couldn't lack medicinal pills. How did his cultivation increase so quickly? Other than his outstanding aptitude, there was another important reason, which was that he knew how to refine pills himself. Refining pills to aid his cultivation allowed him to advance quickly. Chapter 2268. Ling Xiao planned to keep the remaining 1,000 contribution points. If Lin Haoyu had a martial soul similar to the steel-armored bull demon, he would have enough contribution points to exchange for it. A man without foresight would have immediate worries. After returning to his residence, Ling Xiao locked himself in the thatched cottage. Due to the breakthrough in his cultivation, he planned to try to integrate more thunder elemental jades and lava elemental jades to strengthen his lightning battle body and lava battle body. Previously, he had a total of 64 thunder elemental jades. After using 30, he was left with 34. This time, he bought 30 lava elemental jades. He had no choice. He wanted to buy more, but this was already the limit. In the 8 Immortal Mountain, there was a huge limit to how much contribution points could be exchanged for resources. In order to integrate the elemental jades more securely, Ling Xiao first refined dozens of fusion pills. This was a pill that Ling Xiao modified according to his own process of integrating the elemental jades and some of the content described in the Eternal Divine Pill scripture. The level of the pill was not high, but it was very practical. It could make the elemental jades easier to integrate with the body and reduce the pain. Cultivation wasn't torture. He didn't like it when he made himself suffer so much every time. After doing this, Ling Xiao began to integrate the Thunder Elemental Jades. After swallowing the 31st Thunder Elemental Jade and combining it with the fusion pill, he felt that the integration was so easy. There was no obstruction at all. After 2 to 3 minutes, the integration was complete. Ling Xiao could clearly feel that his lightning energy had increased a little. Although it was not much, it was still very obvious. Next was the integration of the lava elemental jades. His lava battle body relied on the special lava to condense, so he did not use the lava elemental jades before. Originally, he was worried that there would be a conflict, but obviously he was worried too much. This process was much easier than he had imagined. The integration of the first lava elemental jade was completed easily. It felt similar to the process of the 31st Thunder Elemental Jade. With such a smooth start, Ling Xiao was quite happy and continued the integration. The 32nd Thunder Elemental Jade. The second Lava Elemental Jade. When cultivating, time seemed to pass very quickly. Inside the thatched cottage, Ling Xiao no longer cared about the outside world and only focused on fusing with the Origin Jade. When 40 Thunder Elemental Jades and 10 Lava Elemental Jades were fused, the difficulty of fusing them increased significantly. However, with the fusion pill, it was still acceptable. In order to make the fusion easier, Ling Xiao entered the Sun God state to make his body more comfortable. He wanted to see what his current upper limit was. Could he directly break through to an advanced constitution? The elementary constitution was already very powerful, and the intermediate constitution was even more terrifying. What about the advanced constitution? He was looking forward to it. Once the fusion reached its limit, he was ready to start practicing the Nether Spirit's Claw. The Nether Spirit's Claw only had 2 moves, so it should be easier to practice than the Meteor Sword art. Ling Xiao naturally wouldn't miss out on the opportunity to improve his combat strength. Moreover, in the process of practicing martial skills, it was also very helpful to increase one's cultivation. After finishing these 2 things, Ling Xiao planned to make a trip to the Heavenly Dragon Trading Company to see if there were any soul gems and to inquire about the Devil Shadow Sect's movements. As the Devil Shadow Sect's so-called vampiric sacrifice got closer and closer, Ling Xiao felt a strong sense of unease in his heart. If he didn't completely eradicate the Devil Shadow Sect's forces in the 8 Immortals County, he felt that he wouldn't be able to cultivate in peace. He recorded his arrangements in an organized manner. He was very clear about what he should do. However, plans always couldn't keep up with changes. When Ling Xiao was preparing to fuse with the 41st Thunder Elemental Jade, the God Codex suddenly told him that Feng Ru was here, and she seemed very anxious. Ling Xiao knew very well that Feng Ru wouldn't disturb him unless it was something important. After all, Feng Ru knew that he was cultivating. Thinking of this, he stopped cultivating and opened the thatched cottage. "Senior sister, what happened?" Ling Xiao frowned and asked. Feng Ru hurriedly said, "I'm not very clear about the details. The shopkeeper of the Heavenly Dragon Trading Company at the foot of the mountain, Lin Fengyuan, sent someone to bring the news. He said that he found a severely injured martial artist while transporting goods. After asking, he turned out to be someone from the Ling family of Yuhua Town." What? Hearing this, Ling Xiao immediately thought of Mo Feiyu. Could it be that Mo Feiyu went to Yuhua Town? Ling Xiao asked. "I don't think so. Mo Feiyu is still reflecting on his mistakes behind closed doors. I heard that after experiencing the destruction of his clan, Mo Feiyu calmed down instead. Furthermore, his cultivation improved greatly. It can't be him." Feng Ru shook her head. "No matter what, I'll go to the 8 Immortals County first." After Ling Xiao finished speaking, he rushed down the mountain. Feng Ru was worried that Ling Xiao would be in danger. Knowing that she wasn't strong enough, she went to find Lin Ruoxian. Lin Ruoxian was much stronger than her and was interested in Ling Xiao. He would definitely be able to help Ling Xiao. At this moment, Ling Xiao had already arrived at the 8 Immortals County City Gate through his private transportation formation. However, the more anxious one was, the easier it was to encounter trouble. There wasn't a single person outside this familiar East City Gate. If it was the usual Ling Xiao, he would have easily noticed that something was wrong. However, he obviously overlooked it today. Something happened to the Ling family which made him anxious. That was his first force in the Black Tortoise continent and also his home. Ling Jiao, whom he cared more about, was there. By the time he realized that something was wrong, he was already surrounded by more than 10 people. What shocked Ling Xiao was that these people's cultivation had all reached the peak of the first level of the Yin-Yang realm. 2 of them were even in the first transition, who had such great power to mobilize so many assassins to deal with him. The other party didn't waste any time. After surrounding him, they launched an attack. As for Ling Xiao, he was too lazy to waste any time. He was in a hurry to go to the Heavenly Dragon Trading Company, so he didn't hide his strength. A terrifying aura suddenly erupted. The intermediate lightning battle body completely released its terrifying power. All of you die. You shouldn't have stopped me at this time. Lightning Meteor Sword Arts, second move. Heavenly Lightning Fire. He waved his sword and dozens of lightning sword auras fell from the sky like heavenly fire. Of the dozen assassins, only the 2 in the first transition of the Yin-Yang realm at the peak of the first level of the hell were still alive. The rest were all killed. Ling Xiao removed the black cloth on their faces. They were 2 unfamiliar faces. He guessed that these people wouldn't reveal any flaws. How could he recognize them? He didn't even ask and directly used the 3-leaf demonic eyes. Soul Catcher. He searched the 2 assassins' soul realms for information about the mastermind. Chapter 2269. It's actually the Shin family's doing again. Looks like this Shin family is planning to be exterminated. Ling Xiao's expression was gloomy to the extreme. But there should be people from the Sand Race behind the Shan family. Ling Xiao was very clear that the Shan family and Zhou family had very good relations with the Sand Race. This matter was done by the Shan family on the surface, but the Sand Race was definitely involved. After all, to send out so many experts all at once, it was still a little difficult for the Shin family alone. Forget it. Let's not think so much for now. Better go to the Heavenly Dragon Trading Company first. Things had to be settled one by one. The most important thing now was to know what happened in Ascension Town. Before long, he had already arrived at the Heavenly Dragon Trading Company. Lin Fengyuan led him enthusiastically into the inner room. Along the way, there were many words of praise. They were all talking about the ghost prison trial. However, Ling Xiao did not listen to a single word. When he arrived in the room, he saw the still very weak and pale Old He. Old He was Ling Yuhua's most loyal servant. In the family, his strength was second only to Ling Yuhua. According to Lin Fengyuan, when he saved Old He was almost at his last breath. They used first-rate healing pills to heal him. Shopkeeper Lin, I can't thank you enough. Just put all of Old He's expenses on my account. Ling Xiao naturally would not let Lin Fengyuan suffer a loss. After all, the other party saved his people. Young Hero Ling is too courteous. You guys chat first. I'll go out first. Lin Fengyuan tactfully left the room, leaving Ling Xiao and Old He here. Actually, what he said just now was not for money. He just wanted to get closer to Ling Xiao. However, since Ling Xiao already misunderstood, this was better explained later. Ling Xiao was not in the mood to listen to any explanation now. Old He, what happened? How did you escape with serious injuries? There were no outsiders in the room. However, for safety's sake, Ling Xiao still took out a formation refining stone and hid the space. He did not want too many people to know about his matters. It's the Devil's Shadow sect. Old Hay sighed and said, the Devil's Shadow sect made a move on Ascension Town. What's going on? Why did the Spectre sect attack Ascension Town? Is it because of me? Ling Xiao stared blankly for a moment before asking. I don't think so. This Yuhua town is the closest town to the 8 Immortal City. I heard from the disciples of the Spectre sect that they are going to conduct a drill in Ascension Town to test the effects of the vampiric sacrifice. Old Hay explained. Blood-sucking sacrifice. Ling Xiao instantly understood. The 8 Immortals County was too big, and there were too many experts. If the Shadow Devil sect wanted to carry out the blood-sucking sacrifice in the 8 Immortals County, they had to be very careful. That was why they had chosen to conduct a drill in Yuhua Town. It was likely that the entire process would be carried out according to the 8 Immortals City's blood-sucking sacrifice. There were 2 advantages to doing this. One was to increase the success rate of the vampiric sacrifice in the 8 Immortal City. The other was to attract everyone's attention to Ascension Town. This way, the vampiric sacrifice in the 8 Immortals County could be arranged more safely. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. Although he didn't know what the vampiric sacrifice was, Ascension Town was probably in a very dangerous situation now. Old Hay, rest well here. I'm going to Ascension Town. Not for anything else, but simply for Ling Jiao he had to go back. Moreover, the Spectre sect had a great enmity with him. If he didn't get rid of the Spectre sect would find trouble with him sooner or later. It was better to do this cleanly. Sensing the cold killing intent that Ling Xiao suddenly released, Old Hay hurriedly grabbed his sleeve. Young Master Ling Xiao, don't be impatient. I've only left Ascension Town for a day. I heard from those people that the vampiric sacrifice drill this time will be carried out completely according to the real vampiric sacrifice. Just setting up the formation and preparing the materials will take 3 to 4 days. Therefore, Ascension Town shouldn't be in danger now. I know you're anxious, but if you go there rashly, you won't be able to return. Hearing Old Hay's words, Ling Xiao suddenly calmed down. He was anxious just now because he was worried that he didn't have time. However, from what Old Hay said, he still had 3 to 4 days to prepare. In this case, he could listen to Old Hay's detailed explanation of the situation first. Ling Xiao had always been very calm. Even when he was extremely angry, he wouldn't let his anger affect his emotions. The angrier he was, the calmer he would be. Therefore, those who were familiar with Ling Xiao knew that if Ling Xiao suddenly stopped talking and became extremely calm, it meant that he was extremely angry. This was the calm before the storm. Tell me everything you know. Since the Spectre sect dares to behave atrociously in my territory, I can only make their power in the 8 Immortal City disappear completely. Ling Xiao's voice wasn't angry at all. On the contrary, it was extremely cold. That's right, with his current cultivation, he might not be able to do that. However, one couldn't forget that he had been hiding a terrifying martial soul. With the tyrannical martial soul, the bastards of the Spectre sect in the 8 Immortal City were no match for him. It is said that the blood-sucking sacrifice requires a large number of blood pigs. Yes, it is the warriors who provide the blood for them. The stronger the warriors are, the more precious their blood is, and the more they need it. Now, Yuhua Town has been taken over by the Spectre sect. However, with the defensive array you set up, the Ling family can still hold on for the time being. The Spectre sect is wantonly capturing blood pigs in Yuhua Town. The battle is very chaotic, so I was able to escape. However, I am not here to look for you. I am here to look for the prefectural governor. Since Yuhua Town is in trouble, the prefectural governor should send reinforcements, right? The reason why Old Hay didn't look for Ling Xiao was because he didn't know Ling Xiao's true cultivation. When Ling Xiao had left Yuhua Town in the past, his cultivation hadn't been very high. He had only been in the Grotto Heaven realm and had been unable to contend with the Spectre sect. He had come to ask for help from the prefectural governor. You don't have to look for him. The prefectural governor can't help you. Ling Xiao shook his head. He knew that the prefectural governor of the 8 Immortals County was Lin Yuan. However, Lin Yuan's status in the Lin family wasn't the highest. He couldn't risk offending the Heavenly Wind group to eliminate the Spectre sect. Moreover, they might not believe Old Hei's news. Even if they sent someone to investigate, it would take a long time. Moreover, Ling Xiao didn't believe that the 8 Immortals County's army was a match for the Spectre sect. Therefore, he had to take action. Why? Old Hei asked, puzzled. Don't ask so many questions. Is that all you know? Are the Spectre sect all in Yuhua town? Ling Xiao asked. That's not the case. In Yuhua town, there is only one hall master of the Spectre sect and 3 guardians. There are also thousands of town wardens and tens of thousands of disciples. Their town wardens, hall masters, and guardians should still be in the Spectre sect's lair, waiting for the results of the drill. Chapter 2270. That's good. Ling Xiao suddenly heaved a sigh of relief. The only person he was wary of in the Spectre sect was the county city deacon, Chen Wian. Although he was Chen Chongqing's most useless son, he was still at the peak of the 3rd level of the Yinyang realm. He couldn't be underestimated. That's good. Young Master Ling Xiao, don't tell me you want to face so many Spectre sect disciples alone? Old Black was dumbfounded. Even if the county governor can help, as a disciple of 8 Immortal Mountain, can't you ask for help? There's no need to trouble 8 Immortal Mountain. I can handle it alone. If I trouble them, I'll owe them a favor. Ling Xiao shook his head. If he wanted help, he could find it. At the very least, Lin Ruoxian, Lin Yang, Chen Feiying, and Feng Ru would help him. Black Immortal Mountain's Mountain Lord might help. Lin Haoyu might help too. Orange Immortal Mountain's Mountain Lord might help too. However, the Spectre sect disciples in Ascension Town were just a hall master and 2 protectors. He didn't care about them at all. Even if he didn't use his overlord martial soul, he could still kill them all. I really shouldn't have told young Master Ling Xiao about this. Old Black sighed bitterly. I already told you not to inform you, but that shopkeeper Lin insisted on informing you. Sai, it's not that I'm looking down on you, but with your strength, it's already very difficult to deal with a town deacon. You have no chance of winning against a protector, let alone a hall master. I'm begging you, please find a way to contact 8 Immortal Mountain. If they help, you'll definitely succeed. If it's really not possible, I'll go find the county governor. Old Black didn't want to implicate Ling Xiao because of this. In fact, when he left Ascension Town, Ling Jiao, who sent him out, had specially warned him not to affect Ling Xiao's cultivation. He couldn't let Ling Xiao get involved in this dangerous matter, but there was nothing he could do. He was injured, and he couldn't stop Lin Fengyuan from informing Ling Xiao. Old Hei, I know what you're thinking. However, you don't have to worry. Just stay here and recuperate. I'll be back soon. The Devil's Shadow sect is unlucky to have offended me. Ling Xiao patted Old Black's shoulder and said with a smile, I'm afraid you don't know how much my cultivation has improved in the 8 Immortals Mountain. That's why you're worried. But Blackie was still worried. He didn't know how much Ling Xiao's cultivation had improved. This was a fact. However, based on the normal speed of cultivation, he felt that Ling Xiao's cultivation wouldn't reach the Yinyang realm at most. If he couldn't even reach the 1st level of the Yinyang realm, how could he face the hall master who was at the peak of the 2nd level of the Yinyang realm? At this moment, Ling Xiao heard a knock on the door. He couldn't help but frown. He removed the formation and opened the door. Outside the door stood Lin Ruoxian, Lin Yang, and Feng Ru. Why are you here? Ling Xiao sighed and said, Someone in my family is injured. I'm just here to take a look. Ling Xiao, you don't have to say any more. Shopkeeper Lin has already told us the details. The people from the Shadow Devil's sect broke into Yuhua town and captured blood pigs, wantonly. However, the county city didn't do anything about this. You want to go back and deal with them alone, right? Lin Ruoxian said. Who is this lady? Blackie looked curiously at the fairy-like Lin Ruoxian and couldn't help but ask. He could feel the powerful aura in Lin Ruoxian's body and her gorgeous clothes. She was definitely not an ordinary person. Sir, this is the deacon of the lower 8 Immortals Mountain. She's also a disciple of the upper 8 Immortals Mountain. She's extremely powerful. A mere deacon of the Devil Shadow sect won't be able to withstand one move from her. Lin Yang introduced excitedly. Plop. When Blackie heard Lin Yang's introduction, he immediately jumped off the bed and knelt in front of Lin Ruoxian. Deacon, I beg you to save Yuhua Town. Blackie, what are you doing? Ling Xiao helped Blackie up. He didn't like kneeling for no reason. Although he had a good impression of Lin Ruoxian, he couldn't let his family members kneel for no reason. Most importantly, it wasn't necessary. He could solve the problem alone. Why should he owe someone a favor? Ling Xiao, I'll go with you. With me around, the Devil Shadow sect is nothing. Lin Ruoxian only said one sentence, but it made Blackie cry. He knew that the Ling family and Yuhua Town could be saved. The deacon was willing to help because she was giving face to Ling Xiao. After young Master Ling Xiao left Yuhua Town and joined the 8 Immortals Mountain, how much had he improved? He could even get a deacon to help him. Deacon Ruoxian, Lin Yang, Feng Ru, I, Ling Xiao, appreciate your good intentions. However, I was the one who caused the Devil Shadow sect's problem. I'll settle it myself. If you really want to help, it's best to be vigilant in the 8 Immortals County. The deacon of Yuhua Town will start the rehearsal in advance. The real vampire sacrifice will be held in the 8 Immortals County. Ling Xiao was, of course, grateful for Lin Ruoxian's good intentions. He also knew that Lin Yang and Feng Ru would definitely offer to help. However, he really didn't need them, because what he was about to do in Yuhua Town might be very cruel. He didn't want these people to see it. None of you can go, including you, Ling Xiao. If you dare to go to Yuhua Town without permission and become enemies with the Devil Shadow sect, you won't be a disciple of the 8 Immortals Mountain. Just as Lin Ruoxian was about to insist, a cold voice came from outside the door. There were 2 people who came in at the same time. One was Zhou Tong, and the other was Desert Cloud. Who do the 2 of you think you are? Since when can you represent the entire sect? Ling Xiao looked at the 2 of them with disdain. He really didn't understand where the 2 of them got their confidence from. They actually dared to stop him from going to Yuhua Town to save people. We can't represent the sect, but this is an order signed by the 7 mountain masters of the 8 Immortals Mountain. As he spoke, Desert Cloud took out a paper order and showed it to Ling Xiao and everyone present. Ling Xiao glanced at the signature on it. Other than the mountain master of the Black Immortals Mountain, the other 7 people all had their signatures. This meant that the order was real. This was because such things were very difficult to fake. At this moment, his face was ashen, and he didn't speak for a long time. Don't worry, the 2 of you. Our young master won't care about this. This time, I didn't come to the 8 Immortals County to look for him. I'm looking for the county governor, so please don't blame him. Old Black felt that the situation seemed to have suddenly become serious, so he hurriedly struggled to sit up and said, seeing Old Black's attitude, Zhou Tong suddenly became complacent. Chapter 2271. Zhou Tong continued proudly, and with your strength, you want to deal with the Demon Shadow Sect? You should know who the deacon of the Demon Shadow Sect is, right? He is the son of the leader of the Tianfeng group, Qin Changsheng Chenwian. If things go wrong, your Yuhua Town will be wiped off the map and cause a lot of trouble for the 8 Immortal Mountain. Scram! If you 2 continue to talk nonsense, do you believe that I will kill you? Ling Xiao's sudden roar showed just how angry he was right now. He wanted to save his family in Yuhua Town. He wanted to save his territory. Clearly, someone was not helping him, but wanted to stop him. How could he not be angry? Zhou Tong, Desert Cloud, you 2 dogs, listen carefully. I, Ling Xiao, am from the Black Immortal Mountain. This order does not have the signature of the Black Immortal Mountain Lord, so it does not count. Using a piece of scrap paper to pressure me. The two of you are really courting death." Ling Zhao's eyes were filled with killing intent. He had met many annoying fellows, and these two were among the top. You. Zhou Tong's face was red from the scolding. After a long time, he only pointed at Ling Zhao's face and said 3 words. At this moment, old He was shocked. Ling Zhao was talking to these 2 people who obviously represented the higher-ups of the 8 Immortal Mountain. Was he not afraid of being killed? Could this young master of the Ling family, who was not valued in the past, have grown to the point where he could fight against those mountain lords? Old He was both confused and excited. He really wanted to know what cultivation level Ling Zhao was at now. Could he have reached the yin-yang state? Wasn't his cultivation speed a little too fast? How many days had it been? It was not even a month. However, thinking of Ling Zhao's performance in Yuhua Town, old He felt that it was not impossible. Young Master Ling Zhao had always been an unexpected genius. Everyone had misjudged him. What about you? Didn't you hear what I said? Scram! Don't make me repeat the same words twice. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. Ling Zhao coldly stared at Zhou Tong and Desert Cloud. His killing intent filled the entire room, making Zhou Tong feel as if he was being stared at by a huge poisonous snake. Ling Zhao, you're crazy. Did he not understand the good intentions of the 7 mountain chieftains? What are the consequences of provoking the Devil's Shadow Sect? Desert Cloud saw that Zhou Tong was listless, so he said this to give Zhou Tong some courage. As he spoke, his aura was completely exposed. The aura of a yin-yang realm level 2 Hell Peak was released, causing Blackie's already recovered body to tremble. He felt a sharp pain in his throat and spat out another mouthful of blood. My lord, please show mercy. Our family's young master is just a deacon. He's just too concerned. Please don't kill him." Blackie sensed the powerful aura released by the Desert Cloud and immediately fell into an endless abyss of fear. He knew that Ling Zhao was definitely no match for this person. He had to plead for Ling Zhao. He knew that Ling Zhao was stubborn and refused to give in, but old Black didn't mind. He was pleading for his master, so it didn't matter even if it was embarrassing. Hearing this, Desert Cloud's face instantly showed a proud expression, as if his power had been verified. Ling Zhao would definitely admit defeat in front of him, like Blackie. But in the next moment, Desert Cloud suddenly retreated. At the same time, Zhou Tong's body flew out and crashed heavily into the door frame, breaking it. His mouth was full of blood, and he looked very pathetic. The person who attacked was Ling Zhao. Right now, half of his body was bathed in lightning, and the other half was flowing with boiling lava. He was as terrifying as a demon god. Staring at Desert Cloud, Ling Zhao said coldly, "Go back and tell your master that if 8 Immortal Mountain doesn't allow what I, Ling Zhao, want to do, then we'll go our separate ways. I'm a person, not an animal. If a person hears that his family is in danger and doesn't dare to save them, then he's worse than an animal. Blackie, listen up. If you act humble in front of this kind of person again, I'll kill you." Yes. Blackie looked at Ling Zhao in a daze and said yes twice. This was because he was truly frightened. Ling Zhao's strength seemed to be even more terrifying than he expected. Zhou Tong's aura was already at the 2nd level of the yin-yang realm, but he was sent flying by Ling Zhao. Desert Cloud was even stronger. Although he dodged Ling Zhao's attack, he was actually frightened by Ling Zhao's aura. This was too surprising. "Ling Zhao, I'll kill you." Desert Cloud retreated in fear because Ling Zhao's aura was too powerful, not because of his strength. In fact, with his current strength, it should be easy for him to deal with Ling Zhao. So when he came back to his senses, he would find Ling Zhao to settle the score. "Ling Zhao, leave. Leave, the sex matters to me. I'll explain this to the sect." Lin Ruoxian stopped Desert Cloud. His powerful aura made Desert Cloud not dare to move. Ling Xiao nodded and said, "Thank you, Deacon Ruashian. However, don't be too hard on me. If I'm removed from the 8 Immortal Mountain because I went to save my family, then I, Ling Xiao, will have no more attachment to this sect." With that, he carried Blackie on his shoulder and walked outside. Lin Yang, Feng Ru, stay in the 8 Immortal Mountain, obediently. Don't ruin your future because of me. After speaking, Ling Xiao broke through the sky and left. In an instant, he disappeared into the sky. After leaving the 8 Immortal City, Ling Xiao went straight to Ascension Town. When he came, his cultivation was much weaker than now. However, when he returned, his cultivation was much stronger. Therefore, they traveled at an extremely fast speed. It would take an ordinary Yin-Yang realm warrior a day to travel from the 8 Immortal City to Ascension Town. However, Ling Xiao only used an hour to arrive outside Ascension Town. The illusion formation he had set up seemed to have been broken. It seemed that the Demon Shadow sect was really full of talents. They even had people who knew formations. This was really not easy to deal with. He was now very worried that the Ling family's formation had been broken and everyone in the Ling family would face a disaster. Ling Yuhua should be very strong. He was at the early stage of the 2nd level of the Yin-Yang realm. However, he could not compare to a hall master of the Demon Shadow sect in the 8 Immortal City. Not to mention, there were more than 10,000 people from the Demon Shadow sect who came to Ascension Town this time. There were more than 1,000 Yin-Yang realm warriors. This was a force that could easily destroy a town. No wonder the Demon Shadow sect dared to scheme against the 8 Immortal City. If all the towns fell into their hands, then sooner or later, the 8 Immortals County would fall into their hands as well. This was not something impossible. Chapter 2272. Young Master, what level has your cultivation reached? Old Hay suddenly asked. Advanced stage of the 1st level of the Yin-Yang realm. Actually, there was nothing to hide from Old Hay. It was just cultivation. This cultivation was nothing to him. Perhaps he could break through again tomorrow. You might think that my cultivation is not as good as that old man Ling Yuhua. But don't forget that I'm a transformation stage 1 martial artist. Every time I break through, I'm stronger than him. Also, I have many secrets that I can't tell you for now. However, I can tell you that in the ghost prison trial of the 8 Immortal Mountain, I've already killed a transformation stage 2 martial artist at the peak of the 1st level of the Yin-Yang realm. Therefore, that hall master is no big deal. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, Old Hay really thought that he was dreaming. That's impossible. I thought it was already very impressive that you could break through the early stage of the 1st level of the 1st level of the 2nd level of the Yin-Yang realm. I really didn't expect this. You said that you killed such a strong opponent. Is that true? Old Hay really didn't dare to believe Ling Xiao's words. He felt like he was dreaming. Is there a need to talk to you? Do you think that I'm the kind of person who likes to die? Ling Xiao looked at Old Hay indifferently and said, I value my life more than anyone else. To be honest, the only person in your Ling family that I care about is Sister Jiao Jiao. I really won't risk my life for anyone else. Haha, you're right. You're right. Old Hay smiled awkwardly. He knew how the Ling family treated Ling Xiao in the past. Other than Ling Jiao Jiao, they didn't take Ling Xiao seriously. Of course, the Ling family is now my force. Since the Phantom sect wants to destroy the Ling family, I, Ling Xiao, naturally won't let it go. If they had come 1 or 2 months earlier, I'm afraid that I wouldn't have been able to do anything. But now, they can only wait to be destroyed. At the very least, the Phantom sect in the 8 Immortal City will be completely destroyed by me. Ling Xiao added. Young Master is right. Blackie wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Ling Xiao's strength was beyond his expectations. However, even if what Ling Xiao said was true, the deacon of the Ghost Shadow sect in the 8 Immortal City was Chen Wuyan. Chen Wuyan's cultivation had reached the peak of the 3rd level of hell. Ling Xiao was still no match for him. However, let's not care about that for now. We'll talk about other things after saving Yuhua Town. If we really can't do it, we'll just move the entire town. Young master, there seems to be someone guarding outside the town. That damned Devil Shadow sect. Do they think this is their territory? Young master, let me lure those guards away for you. You can go in directly. While Blackie was still talking, another shocking scene happened before him. Outside Yuhua Town, dozens of disciples were killed by Ling Xiao before they could even see their faces clearly. Ling Xiao did not show any mercy to these disciples. This was a battlefield. No mercy was allowed. Otherwise, they would be the ones to suffer. Stepping into Yuhua Town, it could be described as being filled with complaints. Although not many people died, a large number of martial artists were tied up with heavy handcuffs and shackles. They were being moved to the big square in the center of the town. These should be the blood pigs captured by the Ghost Shadow sect. This group of fellows actually wanted to turn everyone into blood pigs and hold a blood-sucking sacrifice. This was just a drill. It seemed like most of the martial artists in Yuhua Town had been captured. If the Eighth Immortal City, which was much bigger than Yuhua Town, really held a blood sacrifice, how terrifying would it be? Blackie did not even dare to think about it. They were really a bunch of beasts. Go directly to the Ling family. Although Ling Xiao sympathized with these people, the most important thing now was the Ling family. It would not be too late to save these people after saving the Ling family. He still had to prioritize. When he arrived near the Ling family, he saw a group of people fighting. The leaders were naturally Ling Yuhua and the two guardians of the Ghost Shadow sect. One of the two guardians was at the early stage of the second level of the Yin-Yang realm, while the other was at the peak of the first level of the Yin-Yang realm. The two of them surrounded Ling Yuhua. This made Ling Yuhua's situation very dangerous. As for the rest of the Ling family, they were still being protected by the damaged array. Ling Yuhua had blocked the only gap and was fighting to the death. As long as he did not fall, the Ling family would be fine. However, what made Ling Xiao feel strange was that Ling Jiaojiao was not among these people. Did something happen to Jiaojiao? He was instantly anxious. In the Ling family, the one he loved and cared about the most was naturally Ling Jiaojiao. Even if something happened to the others, nothing must happen to Ling Jiaojiao. This was his most simple thought. At the entrance of the Ling family's defensive array, Ling Yuhua's face was ashen. He looked at the two people in black robes with skull patterns on their arms. He did not know where the Ling family would go, but he, Ling Yuhua, would not give up so easily. Ling Jiaojiao had already been captured. Now he was the only pillar of the Ling family. Once he fell, everything would be over. The two guardians of the Ghost Shadow sect happened to be one fat and one thin. The thin man looked coldly at Ling Yuhua and said, "Old thing, I think you should give up and obediently submit to the Ghost Shadow sect. Then you will have a chance to live. Otherwise, only death awaits you. Your cultivation is not bad. Our Ghost Shadow sect likes martial artists with powerful cultivation. In the future, you can be the deacon of Yuhua Town. What do you think?" It seemed that the people of the Ghost Shadow sect felt that Ling Yuhua was not easy to deal with, so they wanted to persuade him. Ling Yuhua's hair was a little messy. His expression was a little sad and angry. "Shut up. You captured my dear granddaughter, and you actually want this old man to work for you? What wishful thinking. Even if I die today, I will drag one or two of you down with me." Ling Yuhua roared angrily. His heart was filled with despair. 2 days ago, Ling Jiaojiao had accidentally awakened the martial soul of the saber sword Shen Huang. It was the martial soul of the only expert in Yuhua Town who had become a human immortal. Although the previous martial soul had disappeared, the new martial soul was incomparably powerful. Ling Yuhua was very happy about this. With the martial soul of the saber sword Shen Huang, whether it was cultivation or battle, he would be much stronger. If the previous Ling Jiaojiao could only be considered a jade grade genius, then with the saber sword Shen Huang, Ling Jiaojiao would become a heaven grade genius, or even an immortal grade genius. This leap was too big. Unfortunately, this happiness did not last long, because the Ghost Shadow sect was here. They seemed to have taken a fancy to Ling Zhaojiao's martial soul. Chapter 2273. Ling Yuhua was filled with regret. Why hadn't he been the one to be captured? Ling Zhaojiao was his granddaughter and the future hope of the Ling family. She might even be more outstanding than Ling Xiao. In the end, she had been captured and her fate was unknown. The protector of the Phantom sect in the Eight Immortals County wanted to recruit him. Did he think he was an idiot? Oh, your granddaughter? Don't worry. She won't die. Our deacon is prepared to nurture her into the most perfect blood pig. Did you know? When a person possessed a martial soul for a long time, their blood would also become special. Your granddaughter has awakened the sword and saber divine Emperor martial soul. In the future, her blood will naturally become special. Our county city's deacon likes it very, very much. The skinny man laughed strangely as though he was talking about something insignificant. He didn't care how hard it was for others to accept. You crazy people will suffer retribution sooner or later. The gods are watching. The heavens won't let you off. Ling Yuhua roared. Gods? Haha, if there are gods in this world, why don't you try shouting them out? The skinny man sneered. You're already so old. Why are you still so naive? Even if there are gods in this world, they're powerful martial artists, just like the seven sovereigns and the king of sovereigns. In this place, I'm a god. Our hall master is a god. You blaspheme the gods. You should be punished by the heavens. The skinny man's face was filled with mockery and ridicule. It was as though he was mocking Ling Yuhua's ignorance and overestimation of his own abilities. Come, let's not talk nonsense. I, Ling Yuhua, will die as an apology. Ling Yuhua's heart was filled with pain and despair. As a grandfather, he had failed to protect his granddaughter. He really wanted to die. But before he died, he had to make the Phantom sect pay the price. He would kill as many people as he could. Look at your eyes. You're determined to become enemies with the Phantom sect. Fine. I'll let you have a taste of despair and fear. Don't worry. The two of us won't kill you easily. You will definitely be the last person to die in your Ling family. Your Ling family should be the strongest in Yuhua Town. As the blood pig for the blood-sucking sacrifice, you are the most suitable. I really want to see your figures wailing in pain in the blood pool. Ha! Bullshit! As Ling Yuhua raged, a huge sword martial spirit appeared behind his back. In his hand, there was a sharp long sword that emitted a frightening light. That's not right. This is a jade grade martial skill. How could a small clan like Ascension Town have a jade grade martial skill? Are you an outer disciple of the Mystic Snake Devil sect? Generally speaking, the possibility of the Mystic Snake Devil sect recruiting disciples in a small town like this was extremely low. However, it wasn't that there weren't any. Some children who were considered to have good aptitude would be taken to become outer sect disciples and cultivate jade grade martial arts. For example, the two geniuses of the Ling family who had been killed in the past, one was an outer disciple of the Mystic Snake Demon sect, while the other was an outer disciple of the Ling Long Palace. However, they definitely couldn't pass on the martial arts they knew to others. Once they did, the clan would be finished. That's not right. How could the Mystic Snake Devil sect have such an old disciple like you? Whatever. So what if you know a jade grade martial skill? You're still not a match for the two of us. Although the two guardians of the Spectre sect were shocked by Ling Yuhua's sword art, they quickly regained their composure. In fact, Ling Zhao's sword art was just the Falling Star sword art that he had modified before he left. With Ling Zhao's current strength, the strongest martial arts that he could modify was a jade grade martial skill. Therefore, the Falling Star sword art was the strongest sword art in the Ling family. Die. The first sword of the Falling Star sword art, Star Flash. Ling Yuhua had only cultivated the first and second sword of the Falling Star sword art to the greater success stage. The rest were only at the lesser success stage. He had no choice. His aptitude wasn't outstanding. His cultivation would probably stop at the yin-yang realm for the rest of his life. To be able to cultivate the falling star sword art to this level was already very impressive. The first sword, Star Flash, was extremely fast. When the sword pierced over, the skinny guardian was shocked. He hurriedly pulled over a disciple from the side to block in front of him. Even so, he couldn't completely dodge the sword. His arm was still cut by the tip of the sword, and blood flowed endlessly. Kill him. Kill this old man. The skinny guardian lost control of his emotions after being injured. He called out to the fat guardian and pounced towards Ling Yuhua. The martial skill they were using was a jade grade martial skill, and not the vampiric demonic technique. Although the vampiric demonic technique was a jade grade martial skill, the side effects were too great. It was good for cultivation, but not suitable for attacking. Ling Yuhua's face was filled with determination. He didn't care about the fat guardian's attack and continued to stab his sword towards the skinny guardian. Falling star sword art. Second move, star fall. The sword that was originally stabbing towards the skinny guardian suddenly changed its angle, and a terrifying sword aura fell from the sky. The skinny guardian didn't expect the sword art to be so strange. He also didn't expect Ling Yuhua to be so fearless of death. If Ling Yuhua were to kill him now, he would definitely be hit in the head by the fat guardian's huge hammer. He would definitely die. Ling Yuhua didn't have any intention of withdrawing his move or dodging. He just wanted to drag someone down with him before he died. The skinny guardian realized that he had misjudged the old man's courage. He wanted to block it, but it was too late. The sword aura pierced through his head and came out from the bottom of his feet, destroying his internal organs. Although there didn't seem to be anything wrong on the surface, he was already on the verge of death. Damn it. So cowardly. Those were the skinny guardian's last words before he died. However, when he saw the huge hammer smashing down on Ling Yuhua's head, he was able to accept it a little. After all, Ling Yuhua was dead. He had someone to accompany him to the underworld. However, when his eyes were about to close completely, he suddenly saw a figure appear out of thin air and blocked the huge hammer with a palm. Just like that, the skinny guardian widened his eyes and died with remaining grievances. Ling Yuhua killed the skinny guardian and was prepared to face death calmly. Perhaps he would have the face to meet his granddaughter Ling Jiaojiao after he died. As the strongest warrior in the Ling family, he couldn't take it lying down that he couldn't protect the family. However, so what if he couldn't take it lying down? No one would come to save him, even if Old Black escaped to get help. It was impossible for him to rush over in such a short time. He closed his eyes and prepared to welcome death. However, the huge hammer didn't fall for a long time. Chapter 2274. Ling Yuhua turned his head to look at the sky. Over there, a tall and straight figure was floating in midair, easily holding the giant hammer that weighed over 1,000 kilograms with one hand. The fat protector wanted to kill Ling Yuhua to avenge the skinny protector. But at this moment, not only did he fail to kill Ling Yuhua, but the giant hammer in his hand seemed to be restrained by something, unable to move at all. The fat protector was extremely shocked and confused. Who was this young man? What was his relationship with the Ling family? Why was he so strong? In fact, Ling Yuhua was even more shocked than the fat protector. How could he not recognize the young man's proud figure? This was the pride of the Ling family, the most outstanding young man in the Ling family. In name, he was also his grandson. Unfortunately, he felt that he was not worthy to be this person's grandfather, not because of his strength, but because he had never cared about this young man before. The fat protector stared at Ling Xiao, trying his best to take back the giant hammer, but his face was red, and he could not do anything. Suddenly, a terrifying force came from the giant hammer, sending him flying. The fat protector got up from the ground in a daze, and before he could understand what was going on, he was lifted up by the neck. "Young hero, please spare my life. Young hero, please spare my life. I think you don't know that we are from the Shadow Devil sect. If you do this, the consequences will be very serious. The fat protector begged for mercy in horror. He knew that he was no match for the young man in front of him who was too strong. Spare your life? Although that old thing is a good-for-nothing, he is still my grandfather in name, and is now an important subordinate of mine in the Ling family. You want to kill him, and now you are begging me for mercy. Do you really think I will let you go? Ling Xiao looked at the fat protector in his hand with a mocking smile. What? The fat protector was completely dumbfounded. It was not that he had never heard of Ling Yuhua's grandson. That Ling Xiao was also the target of their Devil's Shadow sect. Not only had he killed 2 of their city guards, but he had also destroyed the Bloody Cave stronghold bandits under their control, causing a huge loss. He had even promised the Hall Master that as long as he met this brat, he would definitely kill him without mercy. But today he was being carried by this youth and did not even have the strength to resist. That's not right. You can't be that Ling Xiao. When you left Ascension Town, you should only be a Grotto Heaven Realm warrior. How did you suddenly become so strong? The fat protector was still unwilling to believe that everything in front of him was real. He was even more unwilling to believe that he had been caught so easily like a pig. He was used to catching blood pigs, but now he had become a pig in someone else's hands. You're surprised, aren't you? Unfortunately, it's too late. Ling Xiao sneered and directly twisted the guy's neck, then casually threw him out. Of course, he had already extracted the demonic seeds from the bodies of the 2 protectors. These demonic seeds were the key to his breakthrough, so he couldn't just throw them away. Next, it's your turn. Ling Xiao turned around and looked at the thousands of disciples surrounding the Ling family. Under such circumstances, there was no mercy. On the battlefield, mercy was a kind of poison. Ling Xiao raised his hand, and a heavy long sword appeared in his hand. Then the long sword fell. Meteor sword skill, heavenly fire. There was no need to use the lightning combat body and lava combat body to deal with these disciples. When the heavenly fire descended, not even a blade of grass could survive. Thousands of disciples had almost completely evaporated. Ling Xiao had already done such a massacre, so his expression did not change at all. However, Old He and Ling Yuhua, who were standing beside him, were trembling all over. They were not only afraid of Ling Xiao's decisive character, but also Ling Xiao's terrifying strength. How could he be so ridiculously powerful? Old man, where's Sister Jiao Jiao? After killing those people, Ling Xiao turned his head to look at Ling Yuhua unceremoniously and questioned, Before I left, I reminded you to take good care of Jiao Jiao. Why are you fine, but she was abducted instead? You, are you really Ling Xiao? At this moment, Ling Yuhua was still in a state of great shock and disbelief. He could not believe that the person standing in front of him was Ling Xiao. Master, he's the real young Master Ling Xiao. There's no mistake about it. However, young Master's cultivation seems to have improved greatly. Old He was also shocked, but after all, he had foreshadowed this before, so he could barely accept the shocking scene in front of him. This improvement is too great. It's so great that I don't even dare to admit it. Ling Yuhua exclaimed. Old man, I'm asking you a question. Where's Jiao Jiao? Ling Xiao shouted coldly. She was taken to the 8 Immortal City by the Shadow Devil sect, but I'm not sure where exactly. Ling Yuhua sighed and said, Due to an accident during cultivation, Jiao Jiao awakened the sword and saber Shenhuang martial spirit. As a result, she was taken to the Shadow Devil sect's lair in the 8 Immortal City by the Hall Master of the Shadow Devil sect. I really want to scold you, but forget it. With your strength, you won't be able to stop them. Not to mention scolding Ling Xiao. He even had the intention to kill Ling Yuhua. However, he knew that it would be useless to do so. What he needed to do now was not to deal with Ling Yuhua, but to think about how to save Ling Jiao Jiao. Oh right, they still have a Hall Master here. He should know the location of the Shadow Devil sect's lair. Capture him and he might be a good hostage. Ling Yuhua suddenly said. He was not angry at Ling Zhao's scolding at all. Speaking of which, he deserved it. In the past, he did not treat Ling Xiao well. Today, it was good enough that Ling Xiao could save him. Moreover, he was indeed responsible for Ling Zhao's mishap. This was something that he could not shirk away from. Where is he? That hall master? Ling Xiao suddenly asked. In the big square in the town, presiding over the blood-sucking ritual. Old Hay suddenly answered. It seemed like he had seen the hall master before he left. However, young Master Ling Xiao, you must be careful. The hall master is much stronger than the two protectors. With your strength, you have to be careful when dealing with him. Old Hay said hurriedly. Don't say any more. He's already gone. The rest of you, guard this mountain pass well. Old Hay, come with me to the plaza. Help as much as you can. I'm worried about Ling Xiao being alone. Ling Yuhua did not treat Ling Xiao well in the past. However, his current attitude was not bad. This was probably the only reason why Ling Xiao saved him. There was a huge platform built in the square of Yuhua town. On the platform, there was a guy in a black robe and wearing a strange mask. Chapter 2275. The person sitting on the high platform was one of the hall masters of the Phantom sect branch in the 8 Immortal City. In the 8 Immortal City, the position and strength of the hall masters were second only to the wardens. This person's cultivation was at the early stage of the second level of hell. This cultivation was similar to Shanghai after his resurrection. To be honest, it was really difficult to deal with him. However, Shanghai should be stronger than this guy. Ling Xiao found that this guy's cultivation was extremely unstable. It seemed that he had used the vampiric demonic technique to increase his cultivation, so he was not strong enough. He could not even be considered a true yin-yang realm cultivator at the second level of hell. In other words, it was much easier to deal with this guy than Shanghai. After all, there was a huge gap between them. Ling Xiao did not dare to be careless. Previously, he was able to kill Yuan Neng because Yuan Neng's attention was attracted by other martial artists. Today, Ling Xiao planned to launch a sneak attack again. He would use the simplest method to do the most important thing. He would severely injure him and then capture him alive because this hall master definitely knew about the Phantom sex base in the 8 Immortal City. Ling Xiao's body gradually changed. His face turned into that of the skinny protector from before. The secret technique that he obtained from killing the Yin-Yang Demon King on the White Tiger continent could finally be put to use again. Hall Master. That old man Ling Yuhua refused to surrender and even brought help from the 8 Immortal City. We are no match for him. Please help us. Ling Xiao's body was covered in wounds. He was in great pain. What a useless piece of trash. What kind of help can he get? The Hall Master said disdainfully. I heard that his name is Ling Xiao, a disciple of the 8 Immortals Mountain. However, he just joined the 8 Immortals Mountain a month ago. Ling Xiao replied, Oh, that guy? I've heard of him. The warden of the 8 Immortal City said that as long as we capture him alive, it will be a great achievement. You guys continue to prepare for the vampiric sacrifice. I'll be back soon. The Hall Master gracefully flew down from a high place, and without even looking at Ling Xiao, he headed in the direction of the Ling family. Ling Xiao followed behind with a cold smile on his face. Although this transformation technique did not have any offensive power, it was extremely useful. Seeing that there was no one around, Ling Xiao suddenly attacked from behind. He didn't use a sword. Because the sword chi was too strong, it was easy to detect. He formed a seal with both hands and released a ferocious howling, celestial dog that was condensed from energy. This was naturally the heavenly howling dog technique of the seal of eternal life. Although its power might not be stronger than the universe strike, the howling celestial dog strength was that once it bit an enemy, it would not let go until the enemy lost the ability to resist. The Hall Master was no ordinary person. When the howling celestial dog was about 4 to 5 meters away from him, he suddenly turned around. Noticing the danger, He hurriedly retreated and at the same time condensed a move in an attempt to resist. Unfortunately, Ling Xiao's attack could be said to be well prepared. Not only was it extremely fast, but it was also from a tricky angle. The Hall Master had no way to resist at all. Before the attack could be blasted out, his neck was bitten by the howling celestial dog. His entire body was penetrated by a terrifying electric current, and his body was instantly paralyzed. Ling Xiao took the opportunity to pounce forward. 2 flashes of sword qi crippled the Hall Master's cultivation. With his cultivation crippled, it was more miserable than a snake having its fangs pulled out. This guy definitely had no way of posing a threat to Ling Xiao and the rest of the Ling family. Right at this moment, Ling Yuhua and Old Black arrived and looked at this scene in astonishment. That appearance was completely like seeing a ghost in broad daylight. Master, looks like the clan head can be saved. Young Master Ling Xiao's strength is really unfathomable. To an ancient martial art practitioner of Old Black's level, being able to easily defeat the Hall Master of the 8 Immortals County could be called unfathomable. After all, he only had so much experience. If you told him that there was a martial art practitioner more powerful than Ling Xiao in this world, he would not have a direct impression of it. He might even think that you were joking. That's right. Right now, I'm a little glad that he controls the Ling family. Otherwise, we would probably become the Demon Shadow Sect's blood pigs this time. It's said that other than Yuhua Town in the 8 Immortals County, all the other towns have already been taken over by the Demon Shadow Sect. However, some are done in secret, while others are done openly. Ling Yuhua was extremely emotional. In the past, he was indeed unhappy about being controlled by Ling Xiao, but now his dissatisfaction was gone. Instead, it was replaced by excitement and gratitude. His only confusion now was what level Ling Xiao's cultivation had reached. How strong was he? It was said that he was at the late stage of the 1st level of Hell of the Yin-Yang realm, but was that true? To be able to so easily subdue a martial art practitioner at the early stage of the 2nd level of Hell of the Yin-Yang realm, although he had used some tricks and schemes, if his attack power was not strong enough, he probably would not have been able to do it. Tell me, where is the Demon Shadow Sect's base in the 8 Immortals County? He had captured the Hall Master of the Demon Shadow Sect's branch in the 8 Immortals County to obtain some information. Ling Xiao did not want to kill him for the time being. Therefore, he brought him back to the Ling family and interrogated him secretly. As for the square, he believed that if the Hall Master did not go, no one would dare to start the vampiric sacrifice test. Humph, kid, give up. I will never betray the Demon Shadow Sect, you idiot. He did not expect the Hall Master to be so stubborn. Even though Ling Xiao had destroyed his cultivation, he still stubbornly resisted Ling Xiao and refused to answer Ling Xiao's question. Xiao, or let me deal with this guy. I have interrogated all kinds of prisoners before. For such a stubborn guy, only torture can make him yield. Ling Yuhua said, This old servant can help too. Old He nodded. Both of them hated the Demon Shadow Sect to the bone. Since there was a chance to deal with this group of people, they would not miss it. Ha 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 ha. Even if you kill me, don't think that you can make me yield. You really underestimate the Demon Shadow Sect. The Hall Master laughed loudly as if he could face death with equanimity. Is that so? Perhaps it's because you've suffered too little. Ling Xiao smiled coldly and suddenly stuffed a life and death illusion powder into the Hall Master's mouth. This was naturally the powder that Ling Yuhua and Old He had eaten before. Ling Xiao did this for 2 reasons. One was to get useful information from the Hall Master's mouth. The other was to let Ling Yuhua and Old He know the consequences of betraying him. The life and death illusion powder took effect after a short while. Ling Xiao used his mind, and the powder was completely released in the Hall Master's body. At first, the Hall Master gritted his teeth and endured it, as if he wanted to fight Ling Xiao to the end. However, after a few minutes, as he scratched his skin until it tore, he finally howled in pain. Let me die. Let me die. Chapter 2276. If you want to die, then tell me what I want to know. Otherwise, I guarantee that you will suffer more painful torture than this. But you won't die. There was no expression on Ling Zhao's face, only indifference and indifference. Even Ling Yuhua and Old He, who were at the side, were trembling in fear when they saw this. They originally had no intention of betraying Ling Xiao. Now, they were even more determined to do so. This kind of feeling was worse than death. It was better to die. I'll tell you everything. I beg you, let me die quickly. Others were begging for mercy to live, but this hall leader was already begging for death, because he did not want to suffer that horrible torture anymore. Very well. Answer my first question. Where is the lair of the Ghost Shadow Sect in the 8 Immortals County? It's in the 8 Immortals County. The hall leader shouted in horror. You're lying. How can the 8 Immortals County be a place to hide evil? Ling Yuhua shouted. I'm not lying. It's true. Under the 8 Immortals County, there is a city wall built by the Night Men. Now that the Night Men have left, our deacon used it as our base. It will also be the place where the vampiric sacrifice will begin. At that time, the entire 8 Immortals County will be affected by the vampiric sacrifice. The hall leader really did not hide anything. He even said these words. Then, whatever Ling Xiao asked, he would naturally tell him. Needless to say, Ling Xiao was really taken aback when he heard this. He was originally wondering how the Ghost Shadow Sect would arrange the vampiric sacrifice with the 8 Immortals Mountain and the Tianfeng group in the 8 Immortals County. Now he completely understood. It turned out to be underground. Perhaps the people in the 8 Immortals County would gradually become weak, and everyone would think that it would be an epidemic. In the end, their blood would be sucked, and they would gradually become dry corpses. Thinking about it was really scary. Ling Yuhua and Old He were even more dumbfounded when they heard this. They felt that this matter was simply unbelievable. When does the vampiric sacrifice start? Ling Xiao asked again. The time will be 2 days later, which is when the Yuhua town's vampiric sacrifice test ends. We will inform the 8 Immortals County's branch of the results. They will make improvements to the existing formation and then officially begin the vampiric sacrifice. The hall master explained everything in detail. At this moment, he no longer had that unyielding attitude from before. He was completely answering whatever Ling Xiao asked, like a question-answering machine. It seems like I still have plenty of time. I'll just fake the data for Yuhua Town's vampiric sacrifice test. Ling Xiao thought about it and continued to ask, how do I get to your 8 Immortals County branch? According to what I know, the cities of the night people are basically located in small worlds. Without the correct method, it's impossible to enter, right? I advise you not to think about sneaking in. You ambushed me and defeated me. I can't accept it. In our 8 Immortals County, there are 5 hall masters who are stronger than me. There is also a powerful county city deacon, Lord Chenwian. If you go, only death will await you. The hall master said coldly, Don't say that I look down on you. Your cultivation is really not that good. Of course, if you really want to go, it's easy. As long as you have a guardian level token, you can open the small world. Others have to pass an inspection before they can enter. I see, but you don't have to worry about whether I will die in there. It seems that you are hiding something about this issue. No matter who lied, it was impossible to fool Ling Zhao's Taiji eye. He keenly noticed that the hall master was deliberately hiding important information when he was talking about this. He knew how to goad him. Obviously, the hall master wanted him to go there and die there. That was why he mocked him, looked down on him, and made him angry. Things had already come to this point, and this person was still trying to play tricks. It was really rare. I'm not hiding anything. The hall master shook his head and said, Is that so? Ling Xiao didn't talk nonsense with him at all. With a thought, torture more terrifying than before was applied to the hall master. Stop. I'm hiding it. I'm really hiding it. In fact, there is an envoy from the headquarters in the 8 Immortals County. His strength is even more terrifying than the deacon. Wouldn't it be fine if you said it earlier? Ling Xiao said coldly. Xiao, or this guy is dishonest. He clearly wants to lure you to that place and then kill you. Ling Yuhua said hurriedly. Obviously, he had also discovered the Hall Master's scheme. Actually, he doesn't have to do that. Even if it's a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, I will definitely go there. Who asked me to love Sister Jiao Jiao the most in the Black Tortoise Continent? I can't allow anything to happen to her. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Kid, you have guts. Then I'll just tell you everything. Then I'll wait for you in the Yellow Spring. The Hall Master sneered. Wait for me? It's a pity that I'm not destined to die. However, you really have to go first. Ling Xiao said indifferently. He basically knew everything he wanted to know. There was no use for him to keep this Hall Master. Oh, right, I have one last question. The Sister Jiao Jiao I mentioned just now is the girl you captured and sent to your deacon. Do you know where she is kept? Ling Xiao asked in the end. I really don't know, but with the deacon's importance to that girl, I'm afraid she'll be kept in the most heavily guarded place. The Hall Master shook his head and said, If you don't even know this, what's the use of keeping you? Ling Xiao sighed and said, Although I don't know where this woman is, I can help you sneak into the 8 Immortals' county more safely and help you find the woman you're looking for. The Hall Master said with a strange smile. He seemed to know that Ling Xiao would definitely need him. In this way, he would have a chance to live. For him, losing his cultivation was nothing. As long as the blood-sucking ritual succeeded, his cultivation would be restored quickly. The key now was to live. You really want to live? Ling Xiao looked at the Hall Master sarcastically, then shook his head and said, What a pity, I really don't need you. While speaking, Ling Xiao's figure began to change again. Gradually, he became the same person as the Hall Master. Even their tones and accents were exactly the same. How is it? Not bad, right? I'll take your token and sneak into the lair of your 8 Immortals County. I think it won't be a big problem, right? Ling Xiao sneered. You actually have such a rare martial soul. Who the hell are you? Although the transformation martial soul did not have any attack power, it was very terrifying. Chapter 2277. Who are you? The Hall Master was terrified, especially by Ling Xiao's terrifying transformation. If he wanted to destroy an organization, he could do it easily with his martial soul. Who am I? Aren't I Yuhua Town's Ling Xiao? Ling Xiao smiled and pressed a hand on the Hall Master's head. No, I don't believe it. In the past, there was a peerless genius called Ling Xiao in the White Tiger Continent. Rumor has it that he died in the Nine Heavens Palace. We all thought it was true. We never thought of you, a fellow with the same name as him. Now it looks like we were wrong, very wrong. You must be that Ling Xiao. Before the Hall Master died, he finally realized and saw through Ling Xiao's true identity. You're not stupid at all. That's right, I'm that Ling Xiao. But you found out too late. Ling Xiao said with a smile, I'll accept being killed by you. But I don't understand why a genius like you would reincarnate in such a small place. It's illogical and doesn't conform to the laws of the profound world. The Hall Master smiled bitterly. Who knows? Maybe I offended some ruler, and these people purposely didn't let me be happy. But perhaps they don't know that the more I sharpen myself, the more I can forge my fearless spirit and strength. When he finished speaking, Ling Xiao gently circulated his internal energy. A powerful lightning force blasted into the Hall Master's body, completely destroying him. Before the Hall Master died, he had a bitter smile on his face. Perhaps this bitter smile was a form of remorse for being blind. You're really that Ling Xiao. Ling Yuhua, who was standing behind Ling Xiao, was both agitated and fearful. That Ling Xiao from the White Tiger Continent had long spread his name throughout the Black Tortoise Continent. After all, Ling Xiao's defeated opponents, Tianhai Tyranny and Feng Fei, were immortal rank geniuses in the Black Tortoise Continent. How could people who were stronger than these two great geniuses not be noticed. If this was true, then hadn't he been blind all this time? That's right. Ling Xiao wasn't afraid that Ling Yuhua would reveal this matter. After all, the restrictions he had on Ling Yuhua and old He weren't just simple loyalty control, but also the terrifying life and death illusion powder. Under the effects of that terrifying drug, it was impossible for Ling Yuhua and old He to expose his secret. Why didn't you say so earlier? Ling Yuhua smiled bitterly. If you had told us about this earlier, our Ling family would have nurtured you with all our might. Hee, you're really realistic. You were in the past, and you're still the same now. Ling Xiao did not doubt Ling Yuhua's words at all. This was because Ling Yuhua was an emotionless person. Everything he did was very realistic. If Ling Yuhua knew that he was that Ling Xiao, he would definitely support him with all his might, even if it meant offending the other members of the clan. But in that case, Ling Xiao's identity would be exposed. That was the reason why Ling Xiao didn't say it out loud. Ling Yuhua was a little embarrassed by Ling Xiao's teasing. Although he had changed a little, he had to admit that sometimes he would still subconsciously revert back to his past self. All right, I don't want to talk about the past anymore. It's meaningless. Next, listen up. I will secretly eliminate all the disciples of the Shadow Devil sect in Yuhua Town. Then, I will completely seal off this news and pretend to be that Hall Master Lu Tai. I will head to the Shadow Devil sect branch in the 8 Immortal City and wait for an opportunity to rescue Sister Jiao Jiao. What you have to do is to seal off this news completely, because once this news is leaked out, I will be in trouble. Ling Xiao didn't want to talk about Chun Sesame's trivial matters anymore. People still had to look forward. Since the Ling family was already under his control, there was no need to fuss over such a small matter in the past. No, definitely not. Ling Yuhua shook his head. Xiao, since I know your true identity, I can't allow you to take the risk. Even if you want to go, you have to let this old man accompany you. If you die, it will be the greatest loss to our Ling family. Moreover, don't you think about your heavenly empire? From what I know, they have already nibbled away the White Tiger continent and become stronger day by day. Even the forces of the Black Tortoise continent don't dare to underestimate them. To put it bluntly, you will only be a burden if you go. Ling Xiao spoke very directly. Although it was a little cold and heartless, it was the truth. If I go alone, I can guarantee that I can come and go freely. Even if the Shadow Devil sect wants to keep me, it is impossible. Once you follow me, I can't guarantee that it will be so easy. Moreover, I need someone to seal off the news of Yuhua Town. If you go with me, who can guarantee that there won't be chaos when the strongest cultivator of Yuhua Town leaves? But, no buts. If you insist on going, I can only kill you first to prevent you from delaying my work. Ling Xiao said coldly. All right, since you have such thoughts, I won't say much. But you must be careful. Even Jiao Jiao's life can't be compared to yours. Although these words might sound a little heartless, it is the truth. This old man doesn't wish for you to throw your life away just to save Jiao Jiao. That isn't friendship, that is stupidity. Ling Yuhua sighed. Do I still need you to teach me? Ling Xiao looked at Ling Yuhua indifferently and said, All right, you guys bring people to seal off the entrance of Yuhua Town. I will go to the plaza. After speaking, Ling Xiao broke through the sky and left. 15 minutes later, Yuhua Town was completely sealed off by the Ling family and the cultivators who had submitted to the Ling family. Arrays, mechanisms, and the most basic defense. At this moment, Ling Xiao had also finished his extermination in the plaza. On the plaza, countless cultivators knelt on the ground and looked at the godlike Ling Xiao in the sky. Just a moment ago, this young man had easily exterminated tens of thousands of Shadow Devil sect disciples by himself. Killing people was like cutting grass. They had never seen such godlike methods before. Is that Ling Xiao? Yes. Ling Xiao of the Ling family has already grown into a godlike figure? I heard that he joined the 8 Immortal Mountain. That's a sect of immortals. No wonder he's so powerful. This time, Shadow Devil's sect will suffer. The people below looked at the young man's figure excitedly. From today onwards, Ling Xiao was the new symbol of Yuhua Town, and he left a deeper impression than the sword and saber Shin Huang. It wouldn't be long before the statue on the plaza changed from the sword and saber Shin Huang to Ling Xiao. Chapter 2278. Everyone, I'm going to the Phantom Sect's lair in the 8 Immortal City and kill them all. You'll stay here and help the Ling family guard Yuhua Town. If Ling Xiao had said this in the past, he would have been treated as a lunatic. No one would have listened to him. But today, when he said this, there were countless people who would listen to him. This was the benefit of strength. After speaking, Ling Xiao flew into the sky. He was like a god. Ling Yuhua, who was guarding the entrance of Yuhua Town, also saw Ling Xiao's figure flash past. Master, do you think young Master Ling Xiao will succeed? Old He asked worriedly. Succeed? There's no doubt about it. Ling Yuhua was like a child who worshipped his idol. He said excitedly, Don't forget who he really is. Don't forget that he used 15 minutes to kill tens of thousands of disciples of the Phantom Sect. Among those people, there were thousands of martial artists in the first level of hell of the Yin-Yang state. Do you think someone with his level of cultivation would be able to do that? That's true. It seems like the Phantom Sect is really in trouble this time. Old He's eyebrows finally relaxed. However, we still have to try our best to block the news. The longer, the better. We can't be a burden to that genius. Ling Yuhua said seriously. Master, you used to criticize him. Do you think it's really unkind of him to use drugs to control us? Old He asked with a smile. That's right. That was the case in the past. However, I'm glad he did it now, because no one can resist the control of the life and death illusion powder. He doesn't have to worry about our loyalty. He won't suspect us. We don't have to worry about him targeting us. We can do things in peace. Ling Yuhua said. This is true. Old Black smiled bitterly. His master's change was really fast. Through personal experience, Ling Xiao could confirm that Hall Master Lu Tai's words were true. About a kilometer below the 8 Immortal City, there was a large city. The city still looked a little dilapidated from the past, but most of it had been repaired. The scale of the city was huge, not at all inferior to the 8 Immortal City. The overall color tended to be black, solemn, and intimidating. Ling Xiao made use of Lu Tai's Hall Master token to enter the city. However, he was quickly discovered by 2 disciples from Spectre Sect. The 2 men didn't know if it was fake, so they came out from the dark and bowed. Greetings, Hall Master Lu. Yes, Yuhua Town's vampire sacrifice test has ended. Where is the deacon? I need to personally report to him. When Ling Xiao transformed into Lu Tai, he used the Yin-Yang Demon King ability to extract a portion of Lu Tai's memories. In fact, he could have extracted all of Lu Tai's memories. That way, he wouldn't have to interrogate him. But that would consume a lot of soul force, and Ling Xiao would have to face a big battle. So he didn't want to do it. However, he could still retain some of his memories. For example, Lu Tai's catchphrase, his habits, and the people he knew. This would help him play the role of Lu Tai more perfectly. Great! The deacon is waiting for Hall Master Lu's message. However, the deacon received a message earlier, so he temporarily returned to the 8 Immortal City. Hall Master, why don't you wait for a while? These 2 sentries' status was actually not low. They were actually second only to the Law Protector. Therefore, they had basic respect for Lu Tai, but they didn't flatter him. Ling Xiao nodded and said, You guys go ahead. I'll go back by myself. After rushing for so long, I'm a bit tired. Hall Master, please do as you wish. The 2 sentries didn't doubt Ling Xiao's identity at all, because they had no reason to doubt him. Ling Xiao's current appearance was almost completely Lu Tai. Due to his confidence in his strength and transformation, Ling Xiao was able to appear absolutely relaxed. The more relaxed he was, the harder it was for the enemy to see through his disguise. He casually walked around the huge underground city. At the same time, he opened his Tai Chi eye and searched for Ling Zhaojiao's whereabouts. Actually, in the past, there weren't many people in the underground city. It was just a place where the core upper echelons of Spectre sect gathered. But now it was different. The vampiric sacrifice was about to begin. Spectre sect disciples from all over the place were rushing here. The vampiric sacrifice wasn't just an operation targeting the 8 immortal city. It was also a reward gathering for the Spectre sect disciples in the 8 immortal city. Ling Xiao could see that the prizes had already been placed on the high platform. However, they were bound by a formation. If anyone wanted to steal them, they would have to break the formation. There really were formation experts in Spectre sect. The richness of the prizes was really beyond imagination, other than a large number of Jade-grade low-tier martial arts. There were also very rare Jade-grade mid-tier martial arts. There were also mountains of spirit stones. There were also various divine weapons. This kind of reward gathering was indeed a bit tacky. However, it was indeed able to attract many people to participate and risk their lives for the organization. Normally, the Spectre sect's disciples had a single line of communication. They had their own person in charge to manage them. Therefore, disciples from other places basically didn't know each other. They could only use a token to confirm their identity. Of course, there was also the demonic seed in their body and the skull mark on their arm. These weren't a problem for Ling Xiao. The reason why the Yin-Yang Demon King's transformation martial soul was so terrifying was that other than being unable to possess the strength after transformation, it could possess everything else. If one wanted to distinguish the real from the fake, they would have to have a special eye technique or cultivation much higher than Ling Xiao's. However, it was clear that in the Spectre sect, those whose cultivation was higher than Ling Xiao's were not much stronger. It was just that eye techniques were more troublesome. However, he didn't have to worry too much. Those with low cultivation couldn't see through his identity, even if they had eye techniques. They didn't dare to use them on him. After all, he was the Hall Master. He was second only to the Deacon of the 8 immortal city. Whoever offended him, he could kill them mercilessly. Thief, give me your life. When Ling Xiao walked to a more remote place with Lu Tai's identity, he suddenly heard a loud shout. A person came out from a hidden place. His strength wasn't bad, but his assassination method was laughable. Ling Xiao didn't even look at him. He directly stretched out his hand. Not only did he instantly break the weapon in the other party's hand, but he also grabbed the other party's neck. Then there was a crisp crack. That person's neck tilted to the side. Then, Ling Xiao casually threw that person out. This scene was seen by the nearby Spectre sect disciples, and they were all amazed. This place was remote, but there were still people. Although the Spectre sect disciples weren't familiar with each other, they still knew the Hall Masters. After all, they were all important figures, and they often saw portraits of these people. That must be Hall Master Lu Tai. He's ruthless and strong. The person who ambushed him was at least at the late stage of the first level of the Yin-Yang realm, but he was easily killed by him. Yeah, that's a big shot. After killing someone, he wasn't anxious at all. He didn't even look at him. He's really amazing. Chapter 2279. Ling Xiao was very calm in the face of the attention of the Demon Shadow sect disciples, probably because he was used to transforming into a demon. Therefore, it was very easy for him to show a fierce and powerful appearance. He turned around and left indifferently, but intentionally or unintentionally, he glanced at the place where the person he had thrown fell, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. About a few hours later, the underground city was completely dark. It turned dark earlier here than in the surface city. The originally bustling city suddenly became much emptier. Only the lights in the many buildings were on, and the sound of finger-guessing and laughter could be heard. This was the carnival night of the Demon Shadow sect branch in the 8 Immortals County. Therefore, it was very normal to indulge in debauchery. Hall Master Lu Tai's manor was also very quiet at this time because Ling Xiao gave everyone a day off to enjoy this rare carnival day. He had already visited the demon shadow sect's Deacon Qin Wuyan in the 8 Immortals County. This person was indeed very strong, but he could still deal with him. He reported the false information about Yuhua Town to Qin Wuyan without changing his expression. Obviously, this guy did not suspect him at all. However, what worried Ling Xiao a little was that there was another more powerful aura behind the screen in Qin Wuyan's room. If he guessed correctly, it should be the messenger sent by the headquarters that Lu Tai had mentioned. This kind of person who he had never met before was the most worrisome, because he had no idea what this guy's background was. He also did not know what his personality was. However, at this point, Ling Xiao would not back down because of this person. At least that person did not expose him on the spot, which meant that he did not suspect him for the time being. After all, with his Yin-Yang Demon King transformation ability, the possibility of him being exposed under normal circumstances was very low. At this time, Ling Xiao was alone in the manor's hall, drinking wine while waiting for the guests to arrive. Since you're already here, why hide? There is no one else in the manor. Why don't you come in and have a drink? Suddenly, Ling Xiao toasted outside the door and said with a smile. At this time, the door of the living room suddenly opened, and 2 gusts of wind rushed toward Ling Xiao. These 2 gusts of wind came from 2 people. One was a woman in white, and her cultivation level was at the peak of the 1st level of the Yin-Yang realm. The other was a man in black, and his cultivation level was at the middle stage of the 2nd level of the Yin-Yang realm. In terms of strength, these 2 people were about the same. Ling Xiao faced with the 2's attacks, and then he threw the wine cup in his hand. The wine in the wine cup in the air turned into a fire dragon and charged toward the 2. The black and white duo resisted with all their might, and only then did they manage to disperse the fire dragon. However, a lot of his hair and eyebrows had been burned away. That's right. I heard that he's only at the early stage of the 2nd level of the Yin-Yang realm. He's only slightly stronger than you. The black-clothed man was equally shocked. They had thought that they would be able to kill Lu Tai instantly if they worked together. However, they had not expected that a casual attack from Lu Tai would be able to overwhelm them. He was almost killed, and Lu Ming had obviously shown mercy. Alas, we sneaked into the underground city of the Devil's Shadow sect today with the intention of killing that bastard Qin Wuyan and saving our daughter. Who would have thought that our son would be killed by that bastard Lu Tai? If we can't even deal with Lu Tai, how can we save our daughter? The woman in white let out a long sigh, and her expression was filled with despair and helplessness. No matter what, we can't let our son die like this. Lu Tai, that bastard, we have to fight him. The man in black gritted his teeth, and his eyes were filled with madness. It was obvious that he wanted to fight Lu Tai to the death, even if it meant sacrificing his own life. Why are the 2 of you so angry? Why don't you sit down and have a drink? Just as the man was about to fight to the death, Ling Xiao suddenly smiled. He refilled his cup and said to the 2 of them, "Bastard, we have nothing to say to you." The man in black said angrily. Ling Xiao smiled. He knew that the person they were scolding was Lu Tai and not him, so he didn't mind at all. "Little brother, you can come out now. If you don't, your parents will tear me apart." Hearing this, the man in black and the woman in white were stunned. Then they saw a young man walking out from behind. It was the person who tried to assassinate Ling Xiao during the day, but was killed by Ling Xiao. In fact, it was just a performance. Ling Xiao did not kill him. Instead, in front of all the disciples of the Shadow Devil sect, he played a trick of swapping the crown prince with a leopard cat. The moment Ling Xiao caught the assassin, he swapped him with a wild beast in the beast ring. At the same time, he turned the wild beast into the assassin and killed him on the spot. The corpse was necessary, and the more miserable the death, the better. It had to look like Lu Tai had killed him. Therefore, the corpse was so shriveled that it looked like it had been sucked dry. Ling Xiao's actions were all for the sake of safety. He was worried that the people of the Devil Shadow sect would investigate the corpse. If he couldn't kill the assassin on the spot and let him go, or pretended to kill him, he would be in trouble. In fact, the corpse was placed on a straw mat in Chen Wuyen's room. One of them was checking the corpse. Is there any problem? I've already said that it's Lu Tai, Chen Wuyen said to the man. There's no problem with the corpse, but I'm just doing my job. Every one of the 6 hall leaders has to be investigated. We can't let anyone with ulterior motives sneak in. The man said coldly, get rid of the corpse. Lu Tai can pass for now. Lord Demon Envoy, you're really cautious. I'm not afraid to tell you that even if someone sneaks in, it's impossible for them to disguise as a hall leader or a guardian. These people are too obvious, and there are many people who know them. There's a high possibility of them giving themselves away. On the other hand, the ordinary disciples have to be careful. Someone might sneak in. Chen Wuyen said. What you said makes sense. Therefore, I've already set up a good way to distinguish the real from the fake. If someone sneaks in, he won't be able to pass. The demon envoy sneered. Seeing the corpse being carried away, he started drinking again. At the same time, in Lu Tai's manner, Ling Xiao had already returned to his original appearance. He felt that the black and white duo were quite strong and could definitely help him. The key was that these 2 people were willing to risk their lives to save their daughter. It would be easier for them to complete the task given to them. I've already told you the details. What do you plan to do next? Ling Xiao returned to Lu Tai's appearance. Chapter 2280. At this moment, black and white were still extremely shocked. Ling Xiao's true appearance was much younger than they had imagined, and this young man's strength was so strong that it was really shocking. The most frightening thing was that this person was actually a lone hero, trying to break into the demon nest of the 8 Immortals County alone. This was simply too daring. Moreover, he disguised himself as Hall Master Lu Tai. The key point was that this disguise was not seen through. Little brother, we were a little reckless before. Please forgive us. After the shock, there was hope. With Ling Xiao's help, Black and White were also more confident and hopeful of rescuing their daughter. They sincerely apologized. It's not your fault. I just wanted to test your determination and strength. Ling Xiao smiled and said, If your strength and determination can't meet my expectations, I won't cooperate with you, and I won't expose my identity. Well, let's not talk about that now. Let's talk about the next plan. Although the Demon Shadow Sect's strength in the 8 Immortals County is not comparable to the 8 Immortals Mountain and the Tianfeng Group, it is comparable to the 3 major clans of the 8 Immortals County. What are you going to do? Young hero, the 2 of us, together with our son, should be considered the true disciples of the Demon Shadow Sect. Our family has a special mental cultivation method that can guarantee that we will not be brainwashed by the Demon Shadow Sect. This is also the reason why, although we are true disciples of the Demon Shadow Sect now, we will not really serve the Demon Shadow Sect. This has been going on for more than 3 months, and we have been studying this sect all the time. To be able to say this, it meant that the 2 of them were sincerely planning to cooperate with Ling Xiao. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done this. After all, if these things were revealed, it meant that they could be exposed at any time and be killed. I see. You have worked hard. Ling Xiao sighed and said, My name is Ling Xiao. I don't know how to address the 3 of you. In the next operation, perhaps some of you will die. If you survive, bury the others and set up a tombstone so that no one will know when you die. The white-clothed woman said, I'm Feng Huan. This is my husband, Wang Cheng. That's our son, Wang Peng. Well, I'll be frank. My main purpose for coming here is to save my sister. In addition, if possible, we can also destroy the Devil Shadow Sect's blood-sucking sacrifice. Ling Xiao said, Young Hero Ling's courage is truly admirable. However, aren't you afraid of being discovered by pretending to be a hall master? This is very dangerous. Feng Huan asked. I have my ways, so I won't talk about it. Since you guys have joined the Shadow Devil sect, you should know more about the underground city than I do, right? Ling Xiao went straight to the point. He didn't want to explain anything else. because even if he explained, others might not believe him, and it would be a waste of time. Feng Huan took out a map and said, "This is the map that we spend a lot of effort and money to get. But there are some patterns and symbols on the map that we really don't understand. Let me see." Ling Xiao took the map and then opened his Tai Chi eye. Noticing that Ling Xiao's left eye was a little strange, Feng Huan and the other two were a little surprised, but no one said anything. At this time, they didn't want to disturb Ling Xiao, although they didn't know Ling Xiao's background. Ling Xiao was so powerful that he might really be able to save the people they wanted to save. "I see." Ling Xiao looked at the map and said coldly, "The core of the blood-sucking sacrifice is here, which is also Chen Wuyen's residence. That's where the entire formation is activated, and it's also the eye of the formation. It's also the place to break the formation. As long as we can destroy that place, we can break the formation and stop the blood-sucking sacrifice. The imprisoned blood pigs are distributed in the 8 formation areas of the formation. The most important formation area is near the core. Chen Wuyen, the remaining 5 Hall Masters, and an envoy from the Shadow Devil sect headquarters are guarding there. It's not easy to deal with them. The Tai Chi eye could indeed analyze any information that others couldn't. Ling Xiao believed that since Ling Jiaojiao was so important, she must be imprisoned in the formation area not far from the core. Next, he would have a direction to go for the rescue. He wouldn't have to run around like a headless fly. His Tai Chi eye could see very far and even had the ability to see through things. However, the envoy from the Shadow Devil sect headquarters was an expert in formations. Many places were blocked by formations and spirit formations. If he couldn't break the formations or spirit formations first, he wouldn't be able to see the situation inside. This map was too important. He took the risk to have a showdown with these 3 people. It seemed to be the right decision. Just as Feng Huan was about to speak, a voice suddenly came from outside. "Hall Master Lu, Lord Deacon has asked all the Shadow Devil sect disciples to gather in the main hall. There's an important matter." That voice was very unfamiliar. It should be Chen Wuyen's servant. This wasn't important. The important thing was, why did Chen Wuyen suddenly ask everyone to gather? There must be a conspiracy. However, as the hall master, he couldn't shirk this matter. Since Chen Wuyen wanted to gather everyone, he would go and take a look. There might not be anything important. "Feng Huan, Wang Cheng, follow me for now. Just treat them as my subordinates. Anyway, it's normal for a hall master like Lu Tai to take in other disciples as his subordinates. As for your son, is it okay to temporarily change his appearance?" Ling Xiao looked at Feng Huan and Wang Cheng and asked, "We'll listen to young Hero Ling. As long as we can save our daughter, we don't mind even if we have to die." The 2 of them nodded their heads firmly. "Perhaps things aren't as serious as you think." Ling Xiao stood up and used the Yin-Yang Demon King's transformation technique to change Wang Peng's appearance slightly. Anyway, Wang Peng was an insignificant person. Even if there were changes, no one would care. Then, they stepped out of Lu Tai's manor and walked towards the main hall. The main hall was the largest gathering place in the underground city. Today, all the disciples above the half-step Yin-Yang realm in the 8 Immortals County were gathered here. The number of people reached tens of thousands. Under the illumination of the huge light absorption array, everyone's expression was solemn. Ling Xiao saw Chen Wuyen sitting on the throne on the high platform with a lazy look. Another person was sitting beside him. He was wearing a long black robe. Ling Xiao couldn't see his face, as though he didn't have a face. That person should be the so-called demon envoy. Hall Master Lu. Chapter 2281. Reporting to Lord Deacon. These 3 people were recruited by me after I came to the underground city. If Lord Deacon likes them, I can give them to you. Ling Xiao sat down and smiled faintly. "Ha ha ha ha, I can't take what others like. I asked you to come here today so that you can watch a good show." Lord Demon Envoy said that there might be spies among these people. Although his next method is simple, it can instantly test whether these people are our loyal disciples or spies. Chun Huiyan seemed to trust and respect Lu Tai a lot. After all, the 8 Immortals County's branch relied on the 6 Hall Masters to share Chun Huiyan's burden. It would be funny if Hall Master Lu's subordinates turned out to be spies. The one who spoke was another Hall Master of the Spectre sect, Chin Feng. This person's cultivation was similar to Lu Tai's. He was the 2 strongest among the 6 Hall Masters and also the most capable. The contradiction was really huge. If he said that they were enemies, some people would believe him. Haha, Hall Master Chin, you should worry about yourself. Don't worry about others. Ling Xiao sneered. Then he looked at Chen Wuyan and said, Deacon, let my people take the test first to prevent people from gossiping. After all, the 3 of them are new recruits. I also want to know if they are spies. Chen Wuyan nodded. He dared to say this because he believed that Feng Huan and the other 2 could pass the test. Apart from their thinking patterns, they were the same as the Spectre sect's disciples. All right, Hall Master Lu is indeed one of my most trusted people. In that case, let's start with the 3 of them. Chen Wuyan nodded, as if he had already prepared for this. The demon envoy stood up and said with a smile, The test is very simple. All the disciples of the Spectre sect must have learned the blood-sucking demonic art and have a demonic seed in their bodies. Then, they can increase their cultivation by sucking blood. Today, you can try it on the demonic beasts. After saying this, he waved his hand. Immediately, 3 cages were brought out. There was a very small, mouse-type demonic beast in the cages. Anyway, it was just a test. This kind of weak and slack demonic beast would suffer a great calamity. Feng Huan, Wang Cheng, and Wang Peng were tested at the same time. In an instant, the 3 demonic beasts became dried corpses. As for their skills, they had also improved a little. Looks like my subordinates are true disciples of the Spectre sect. I'm afraid Hall Master Chen will be disappointed. Ling Xiao sneered and said, Hall Master Chen, you and our deacon are family. Don't lose face for him. Chin Feng frowned and said indifferently, Naturally, you don't have to worry about this. Next, it's my subordinate's turn. He had a lot of subordinates, but only 4 of them were qualified to stand on this high platform with him. Among the 4 of them, one of them was the cruelest. Although he had not been following Chin Feng for long, he had killed a lot of innocent people. He was even believed to have the highest possibility of becoming the number 1 general under Chin Feng. He had a sallow face and a thin face, which made him look a little cunning. Although his body was skinny, his strength was not weak at all. It was just that his steps were a little shaky. It was said that this person liked to go to places where men went and indulge in a life of luxury every day. It was very taxing on his body. As for the other 3, they passed the test. Chun Feng looked at Ling Xiao proudly and said, Lu Tai, did you see that? The subordinates under me are all good. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and looked at that skinny monkey. The ultimate move of the 6th profound art, Reverse Eye. This was a move of light and shadow profound that Ling Xiao had not used for a long time. Although other moves might reveal his true identity, this reverse eye was something he rarely used even before he reincarnated. Hence, he was not afraid of revealing anything when he used it now. Moreover, this was merely an eye technique. It was very hard to discover, especially when he used it with his current level. Even that demonic envoy would not be able to detect it. What reverse eye could do was very simple. It could turn darkness into light, light into darkness, truth into falsehood, and falsehood into reality. The extent of its effect depended on the comprehension of the profound art of light and the strength of the user's soul power. With Ling Xiao's current level, it was still possible for him to make Chun Feng's skinny monkey lose his ability to use the demonic blood-sucking art. In any case, neither Chen Feng nor that skinny monkey were good people. Ling Xiao might as well use this opportunity to get rid of that skinny monkey and avenge those girls that had been harmed by him. Naturally, Chin Feng was unaware of all this. He was still looking at Ling Xiao proudly. How is it, Ling Xiao? Since your subordinates can pass the test, so can mine. Isn't there one more that hasn't been tested? Ling Xiao said faintly. It is impossible for that skinny monkey to be a spy. Although he hasn't been following me for a long time, he is extremely loyal to the Devil's Shadow sect. Qin Feng said loudly. That might not be the case. As the saying goes, one may know a person for a long time without understanding his true nature. He hasn't been following you since the beginning. There were two reasons why Ling Xiao had chosen this skinny monkey. The first reason was that this skinny monkey was the one who had done the most evil. The second reason was that there was indeed a possibility that this skinny monkey was a spy. After all, the other three had been following Qin Feng since the beginning. The possibility of them being spies was too low. If things went wrong, he might end up shooting himself in the foot. Bullshit. If this skinny monkey is a spy, I will eat your shit in front of everyone here, Qin Feng said furiously. That's too disgusting. I can't do that in front of everyone. How about this? Since Hall Master Qin has already said so, I won't make you do something so embarrassing. You might as well eat that rat, Ling Xiao said with a smile. All right, I promise you. Qin Feng was obviously in a fit of anger. He had completely fallen into Ling Xiao's trap. Naturally, it was also possible that Qin Feng was extremely confident in that skinny monkey, and was sure that this skinny monkey wasn't a spy. Skinny Monkey walked toward a cage and placed his hand inside. Skinny Monkey, who was originally full of confidence, suddenly frowned. He activated the demonic blood-sucking art. However, not only was he unable to absorb any blood from the beast, his own blood was even injected into the beast's body. Impossible. Skinny Monkey tried again. However, the result was still the same. Cold sweat started dripping down his forehead. This is impossible. He tried again. However, it still didn't work. Currently, his face was pale. It was unknown if it was due to his blood being sucked away or due to fear. As for Qin Feng, his face was ashen. Bastard, I didn't expect that I would trust you so much. You are actually a spy. Qin Feng suddenly leaped up and charged towards Skinny Monkey. Skinny Monkey still wanted to explain, but his skull was smashed by Qin Feng's palm and he died. Chapter 2282. Qin Feng was absolutely loyal to the Devil's Shadow sect. After all, the deacon of the 8 Immortals County was part of his family. Now that a suspected spy had appeared under him, he was not willing to explain himself. He was only anxious to get rid of this scourge to prove his position, to prove that he was not a person who tolerated spies and nurtured spies. He was merely deceived by them. Hall Master Qin is indeed formidable. You are not showing any mercy to spies. Ling Xiao sneered as he looked at Qin Feng. You don't have to mock me. It's my responsibility to nurture a spy. Killing him is eliminating a scourge for the Devil's Shadow sect. Qin Feng said righteously. Then, are you going to eat this demonic beast rat or not? Ling Xiao said casually. Actually, I'm just saying. Hall Master Qin can choose not to eat it. I don't think anyone would dare to say that our Hall Master Qin is a person who goes back on his words. Qin Feng's expression was even more unsightly than before. This rat that the devil envoy had fed him was probably one of the dirtier ones. Moreover, the troublesome thing was that as a human, the era of eating raw meat and drinking blood had long passed. He really did not want to eat that rat alive. Qin Feng, eat it, Qin Huiyan said coldly. Qin Feng did not care. He could not let Qin Feng ruin the reputation of the Qin family. Even if he did something bad, in the eyes of the Devil's Shadow sect's disciples, he should be someone who kept his word. Otherwise, who would risk their life for him? Deacon, Lu Tai tricked me. Qin Feng was absolutely unwilling to eat a dead rat. He tricked you? Is this something you agreed to? Just a few words from him can make you lose your sense of direction. Treat today as a lesson, Qin Huiyan said coldly. Qin Feng's face turned pale. Qin Feng's face was pale as he grabbed a dead rat and started eating it. His gaze towards Ling Xiao was filled with a terrifying, murderous intent. However, Ling Xiao merely sneered. Qin Feng wanted to kill him, but he wanted to kill Qin Feng as well. Otherwise, Chen Wuyan would not be easy to deal with. After all, Qin Feng was the #1 general under Qin Wuyan. The reason Ling Xiao wanted Qin Feng to eat the rat was not only because he wanted to humiliate Qin Feng. That's too boring. In fact, he was the one who chose the dead rat, and he was the only one who knew about the seasoning added to the rat. Dealing with the Devil's Shadow sect required not only courage, but also strategy. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been easy for him to do it alone. Naturally, at present, Qin Feng did not appear to be anything special. However, within his body, a huge trouble had already been buried. Young Hero Ling, these people from the Shadow Devil sect are really cruel. They even killed their own people. Moreover, they're so merciless. I wonder if our plan will succeed? When Feng Huan saw Qin Feng kill that skinny monkey, he thought that the skinny monkey was truly a spy. He felt somewhat sympathetic toward the death of a rabbit. What you see might not be the truth. Don't think too much. I'll take care of everything. As long as your daughter is still alive, I'll definitely save her, Ling Xiao exhorted. This conversation was naturally carried out through soul transmission. At such a close distance, they did not even dare to whisper. If they were heard, it would be a fatal disaster. Feng Huan carefully savored the meaning behind Ling Xiao's words. Suddenly, he realized something. The sympathy he had for the skinny monkey's corpse instantly turned into hatred and hatred. While they were talking, Qin Feng had already finished eating the dead rat. He even wiped his mouth and sneered at Ling Xiao, as if saying, "See, I'm not as unreasonable as you think I am." Ling Xiao smiled. He truly felt sorry for this Qin Feng. Humiliating himself was a small matter. Qin Feng did not know that the rat had been poisoned by Ling Xiao. How laughable! He was truly pitiful. The demon envoy intentionally or otherwise glanced at Ling Xiao, but he didn't say anything. The test continued. Due to the large number of participants, the following tests were carried out in groups of 100. Naturally, most of them passed the test. However, there were indeed spies among the ordinary disciples. More spies have been exposed. This move of Lord Devil Envoy is truly powerful. The number of spies that were exposed this time was a total of 10. These 10 people had similar cultivation levels. They should be from the same group. Ling Xiao looked at them and could not help but sigh inwardly. They were truly a group of people who overestimated themselves. They were only at the first level of the half-step yin-yang realm, yet they dared to sneak in. He really did not know what they could do. This was called praiseworthy courage, but it was truly foolish. Ling Xiao wanted to save these 10 people, but he knew that he could not do so, because once he did, he would definitely be exposed and his entire plan would be ruined. The moment the 10 of them were exposed, they decided to kill Qin Wuyan together. However, it was a pity and pitiful thing. Everything they did was in vain. There was no need for Qin Wuyan to make a move. In fact, there was no need for the Hall Master or the Guardian to make a move. Just a few ordinary disciples of the Devil's Shadow sect easily subdued these 10 people. "Bastard, let us go. You demons, you harmed our families. One day, the rulers of the Immortal Court will definitely know. You will definitely be punished." The 10 people were captured and pressed to the ground in humiliation. They could only roar and vent their dissatisfaction with their voices. But what was the point of that? To put it nicely, this is called bravery. To put it bluntly, this is overestimating yourself. Ling Xiao sighed and said, "Don't blame me for being vicious. Wang Peng, your previous method of assassinating Lu Tai was the same as this. If I were the real Lu Tai, not only would you have killed yourself, but you would also have killed your parents. I believe that even your sister would not allow you to act so recklessly." He sympathized with those 10 people, but sympathy did not mean agreement. Those 10 people were very stupid. He was not wrong. Do you really think that the rulers will pay attention to a bug like you? Don't be so naive. In the mystic world, strength is everything. Whoever is strong can be a supreme, a ruler, or even a god. Chen Wuyan looked disdainfully at these 10 people who overestimated themselves. He walked forward and stomped one of them to death as if he was stepping on a bug. In the crowd, many people had gloomy faces and were filled with anger. It was obvious that many brave cultivators had sneaked in to destroy the Devil's Shadow sect. Unfortunately, these were all weak cultivators. There were no experts from the 8 Immortal Mountain or the Tianfeng group. If there were experts from those two forces, the Devil's Shadow sect would not be so arrogant today. It was really lamentable. After stomping one person to death, Qin Wuyan's expression became even more ferocious and terrifying. He laughed coldly as he thought of another person. He let out a strange laugh, and another person's head was crushed by him. "You really are a bug. How dare you behave so atrociously in my Devil's Shadow sect? Kill them all." Perhaps it was because he was too bored, Chen Wuyan sat back on his seat and waved his hand indifferently. Chapter 2283. Under Chen Wuyan's command, 8 heads fell to the ground. This scene made Feng Huan, Wang Cheng, and Wang Peng tremble with fear. Was this the fate of the spies? This Chen Wuyan was too terrifying and cruel. Next, all the spies will be turned into blood pigs. Anyway, the more blood pigs, the better. Chen Wuyan gave another order. In the following test, hundreds of people died. There was no other way. They couldn't escape. Once again, although only one spy was found, his cultivation had reached the early stage of the 3rd level of hell of the Yinyang realm. Even the Hall Master of the 8 Immortals County would find it difficult to subdue him. However, Chen Wuyan grabbed him by the neck and raised him high in the air with one move. Join the Demon Shadow sect or die. Chen Wuyan took a fancy to this martial artist because he felt that this martial artist's cultivation was very good and worthy of his nurturing. Bullsh *T, you disgusting guy. How can I join the Demon Shadow sect? You will die a horrible death. As he spoke, the martial artist detonated the hell in his body. He tried to kill Chen Wuyan with his own life. At that moment, Chen Wuyan did show a panicked expression. However, the demon envoy, who had been sitting there silently, suddenly attacked. A ball of energy easily enveloped the detonation and dissipated it. This guy is so strong. A drop of cold sweat dripped down Ling Zhao's forehead. The strength displayed by the demon envoy really made him feel pressured. He had easily dissipated the terrifying power of the self-detonation of a martial artist at the early stage of the 3rd level of hell of the Yinyang realm. If he felt this way, the others would tremble even more. As soon as the demon envoy attacked, almost all the spies lost their will to fight. They desperately turned around and fled. Looking at those people, Ling Xiao couldn't help but sigh. It was really sad. Could they escape at this time? This was the headquarters of the Demon Shadow sect in the 8 Immortals County. Hundreds of figures in the void were suddenly grabbed by tentacles that reached out from the ground and sucked dry. Mighty! Mighty! Long live the Demon Shadow sect! The Demon Shadow sect is invincible. The Devil's Shadow sect has ruled the profound world for 10,000 generations. The Spectre sect's disciples, who were extremely excited by this shocking scene, let out earth-shattering shouts. They were extremely excited, but Ling Zhao's face was ashen. The tentacle that suddenly stretched out should be the core of the blood-sucking Great Array. It should be some kind of huge blood-sucking demon beast that had been transformed by the demon envoy into the core of the terrifying blood-sucking Great Array. Continue the test. The demon envoy's cold voice rang out. Chen Wuyan also sneered ferociously. Those who betrayed him deserved to die. No matter how cruel his methods were, he would still use them. With the support of Lord Demon Envoy and the powerful, blood-sucking demonic beast, he would definitely be able to achieve great things. He believed that after this blood-sucking sacrifice, the Ghost Shadow sect would no longer have to be sneaky in the 8 Immortals County. They would be able to directly confront the 8 Immortals Mountain and the Tianfeng group. Or even stronger, out of tens of thousands of people, hundreds of spies were eliminated. This was the final result. The test is over. Next, everyone, go back to your residences and start your life of debauchery. Believe me, as long as you are loyal to the Ghost Shadow sect, your future will be bright. Chun Nguyen said loudly, Lord Deacon, the 6 hall leaders have not been tested yet. The demon envoy suddenly said. Hearing this, Feng Huan, Wang Cheng, and Wang Peng's hearts tightened. This was because they knew that Lu Tai was Ling Xiao in disguise. How could Ling Xiao know the blood-sucking, demonic skill? This time, they would definitely be exposed. I don't agree. Ling Xiao suddenly said, Lord Demon Envoy, I'm afraid that your actions will disappoint us. We are hall leaders, the strongest people in the Ghost Shadow sect in the 8 Immortals County other than Lord Deacon. Do you have a guilty conscience? The demon envoy said coldly. Guilty conscience? Although Lord Demon Envoy was sent by the higher-ups, you can't slander our loyalty to the Ghost Shadow sect. Do all loyal people have to be suspected like this? Ling Xiao was very good at fanning the flames. His words put the demon envoy in a very awkward position. The reason why the Ghost Shadow sect was so powerful was because of their brainwashing techniques. They made all the disciples believe in their superiors and the Ghost Shadow sect's sect master. They believed that the Ghost Shadow sect would fulfill their promises. They believed that their dreams would become reality. However, what if the people who joined the Ghost Shadow sect went back on their words? Their beautiful dreams would instantly become illusory and illusory. This would be a huge blow to the Ghost Shadow sect's rule. Even the demon envoy's expression was unsightly. Hall leader Lu, don't misunderstand. This is for the sake of fairness. Everyone else has already been tested. It's normal for the 6 hall leaders to be tested. Chun Nguyen seemed to have a lot of trust and admiration for the demon envoy. Therefore, he agreed to whatever the demon envoy said and was willing to do as he was told. Ling Zhao's lips curled up into a sneer. Suddenly, with a thought, Qin Feng, who was standing near the demon envoy, suddenly launched a surprise attack. He directly charged toward the demon envoy. This scene was too sudden and too shocking. Even the demon envoy who had suspected Lu Tai did not suspect Qin Feng. After all, Qin Feng was one of them. However, this carelessness caused him to be punched in the back by Qin Feng, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. Evidently, he was heavily injured. However, Qin Feng was still unwilling to stop. It was as if he wanted to kill the demon envoy. Bastard, we are loyal to the Ghost Shadow sect, yet you suspect us. I'll kill you, you dog. As Qin Feng attacked, he roared at the same time. Naturally, he was not the normal Qin Feng. Rather, he was the Qin Feng who was hallucinating after being controlled by the illusory life and death powder. Ling Xiao wanted to use him to heavily injure the demon envoy. This way, his strongest enemy would be severely weakened. Naturally, it would be even better if he could kill the demon envoy. Unfortunately, Chen Feng's performance was too poor, and the demon envoy was too cunning. Apart from spitting out a mouthful of blood, he was not injured. Instead, he killed Qin Feng with a single palm. Lord Demon Envoy, this isn't appropriate. Although Hall Master Qin is in the wrong, his crime doesn't warrant death. Although there is some enmity between Hall Master Chan and I, we are all loyal to the Ghost Shadow sect. What you are doing is too chilling. Ling Xiao said in a timely manner. Enough. Qin Feng attacked the demon envoy. It is not wrong for him to be killed. The rest of you, start the test, Chen Wuyen suddenly said. Everyone start the test, Chen Wuyen said coldly. It seemed like the future promised to him by the demon envoy had given him a huge temptation. Even when one of his own was killed, he did not feel any heartache. So be it. Do you think I'm afraid? Ling Xiao walked up the stage in disdain and participated in the test. Naturally, he passed. A small trick like the demonic blood-sucking art was nothing to him. In fact, he could learn it with a single glance. Chapter 2284. Could he really not be a spy? Looking at Ling Xiao, the demon envoy's face was gloomy and somewhat pale. Although he had dodged Qin Feng's follow-up attack, he was still injured. Moreover, the injury was not light. All right, let's go back and continue enjoying ourselves. Chen Wuyan waved his hand and said loudly. The group of disciples turned around and left. Some were confused, some were excited. They were confused because Chen Feng, the hall master, had actually attacked the demon envoy. They were excited because the spies had been eliminated. The following blood-sucking ritual would be safer. How could they not be excited when they thought of the huge benefits they would obtain after the blood-sucking ritual? Ling Xiao brought Feng Huan and the rest back to his manor. Although he had dealt with Chen Feng and injured the demon envoy today, which could be said to be a double blessing, Ling Xiao's expression did not relax at all. The strength displayed by the demon envoy had exceeded his expectations. Young hero Ling, let's not talk about that Chen Wuyan for now. However, that demon envoy is really terrifying. We have to think of something. Otherwise, not to mention saving them. Even finding them will be difficult. Why don't we wait until the day of the blood-sucking ritual before making our move? At that time, the Devil's Shadow sect will be at their weakest. They will place most of their attention on activating the blood-sucking ritual and will neglect other threats. This is probably the reason why we have to find the spy thoroughly today. Young hero Ling, you have the most ideas. You should make the decision. Feng Huan, Wang Cheng, and Wang Peng analyzed the situation one after another. Obviously, they had decided to make their move on the day of the blood-sucking ritual. Your thoughts are correct. Ling Xiao nodded and said, if we make a move now, we will be walking into a trap. Although the demon envoy is injured, Qin Feng is killed, and the Devil's Shadow sect's strength seems to be severely weakened. However, we don't know the extent of the demon envoy's injuries. We don't know the strength of the blood-sucking beast either. We can't make a move now. Let's wait until the blood-sucking ritual starts tomorrow. We are relieved now that young hero Ling has said so. Feng Huan and Wang Cheng were originally worried that Ling Xiao was young and impetuous. Coupled with his relatively strong strength, he would underestimate the enemy. However, from the looks of it, Ling Xiao was very steady. By the way, young hero Ling, we have a favor to ask of you. Would you agree to it? Feng Huan suddenly asked. We're already comrades in the same trench. We even have to entrust each other with life and death. What's the point of asking for help? As long as it's something I can do, I'll do my best to help. Ling Xiao nodded. Actually, it's not a difficult task. The two of us aren't as strong as young hero Ling. If you need us, just push us out. We're willing to be your pathfinders. Even if you are killed for something, you don't have to avenge us. Just remember one thing. Help us take good care of our son and daughter. We don't have much to pursue in this life. We only have this little thought of happiness. Feng Huan said very seriously. Yes, that's what I'm thinking too, Wang Cheng said. Sometimes there is no such thing as a perfect plan. There would always be people who had to be sacrificed. In the dark art of war, there was a move called young master offering his head, which was a method of self-sacrifice. Although it was similar to the ruse of injuring oneself to gain the enemy's confidence, it was even more vicious. The ruse of injuring oneself to gain the enemy's confidence was at most being beaten up. But the young master offering his head was even sacrificing his life. Under such circumstances, the enemy's suspicion would be minimized. Feng Huan and Wang Cheng's meaning was very simple. If they had to make a sacrifice, the two of them were willing to die. Father, mother, let your son die. Anyway, your son won't be able to go far on the path of martial arts in this life. The most pitiful thing is, mother, you're a rank 1 martial artist. As long as you don't die, you'll definitely be able to step into the rebirth realm. Wang Peng couldn't help but say, some people say that in the mystic world, those without strength are equivalent to trash. In fact, I don't agree with this saying. Not to mention that you're a good martial artist. Even if you don't know any martial arts, in the eyes of your parents, you're still a treasure. Feng Huan's eyes were filled with tears as she looked at her son dotingly. This made Ling Xiao sigh with emotion. Even in the mystic world, where the weak were prey to the strong, where the winner was king, there were still true feelings. Don't worry. For others, there may not be a perfect plan, but for me, Ling Xiao, perfection is my goal. Ling Xiao said faintly, sacrificing you to save my sister will put heavy shackles on both her and me. It will hinder our progress on the path of martial arts. I won't do that. But, no buts. Just listen to my arrangements. The three of you have to do something very simple. You just have to help me relieve the pressure. Feng Huan, Wang Cheng, can the two of you deal with a hall master? Ling Xiao waved his hand and said, Of course. The two of them nodded. Good. Then the two of you will deal with a hall master. The remaining threats to us are the three hall masters. One is Chen Wuyan, one is the demon envoy, and one is the blood-sucking demonic beast. The blood-sucking demonic beast is under the control of the array, so it can't move freely. Wang Peng, your next task is to let the outside world know about everything here. If you are lucky, the 8 Immortal Mountain and the Tianfeng group will send people to help us. It will be much easier for us to save them. Although the Heavenly Wind group might protect Qinhuiyan, they did not dare to openly support such an evil vampire sacrifice. Can you do it? Ling Xiao asked again. I will do it, even if I die. Wang Peng was very clear that his task was the easiest, because on the day of the blood-sucking sacrifice, there would be no disciples of the Devil's Shadow sect guarding outside. Ling Xiao gave him this task because he wanted him to run away, but he would never run away. He would do his best to complete this task. Feng Huan, Wang Cheng, the two of you remember, no matter whether you can kill a hall master or not, don't worry about me. Go and save them. That is your real task. This is my sister's portrait. Look carefully. If you can't release all the blood-sucking pigs, then save your loved ones first. Ling Xiao turned around and said, Are you crazy? Can you really face so many experts alone? Feng Huan carefully analyzed Ling Xiao's plan. This was basically using Ling Xiao himself as bait. So, whether I can survive or not depends on whether you can save the people first. Ling Xiao smiled and said, I am betting my life on you. Don't let me down. Ling Xiao heaved a sigh of relief after making the necessary arrangements. In fact, although this mission seemed dangerous, it was not as difficult as imagined. He did not care about the three hall masters at all. Moreover, Feng Huan and Wang Cheng could help him in time after killing one of the 4 hall masters. The one he was most afraid of was the demon envoy. Chapter 2285. To Ling Xiao, having a lot of enemies was not a problem. It all depended on whether he played it well or not. After a moment of silence, Feng Huan and Wang Cheng looked at each other and kowtowed to Ling Xiao at the same time. Young hero Ling, we will never forget your great kindness. If we have the chance to meet again in the future, we are willing to do anything for you. Let's talk about the future in the future. Have you heard my arrangements clearly? Ling Xiao asked. Understood. The 3 of them nodded their heads. They were extremely excited and moved by the gesture. If they hadn't met Ling Xiao, they wouldn't have had such an easy opportunity to save people, because none of the 3 of them could be the bait. The bait must be strong, have excellent movement skills, and be able to attract the attention of many people. Only Ling Xiao could do it. But if Ling Xiao did this, the possibility of him being killed was very high. Feng Huan, Wang Cheng, and Wang Peng all thought that Ling Xiao was sacrificing himself to save people. They were moved and admired him. Such a person was really rare in today's world. Young hero Ling, the process of the blood-sucking sacrifice is actually very simple. First, the disciples worship the portrait of the Devil's Shadow sect's sect master. Second, start the blood-sucking array and feed the blood-sucking beasts with blood pigs, so that the blood-sucking beast strength will reach their peak state. Finally, the blood-sucking beasts will cooperate with the blood-sucking array to release countless tentacles and begin the blood sacrifice of the entire 8 immortal city. Once they succeed, not only will all the blood pigs die, but even the entire 8 immortal city will become a purgatory on earth. Many people may be unknowingly sucked dry of blood. At the beginning of the second step, Chen Wuyen, the demon envoy, and several hall masters will bathe in the blood pig's blood and receive the blood baptism from the blood-sucking beasts. If we want to take action, we can only choose to do it before this step begins. Otherwise, if the blood pigs are killed, our rescue mission will be declared a failure. While speaking, Feng Huan's face was very gloomy and his body was trembling violently. Although there was no clear distinction between good and evil in the mystic world, there was no so-called righteous or evil sect, but a sect like the Devil Shadow sect was definitely in existence that everyone despised. Their cruelty and ruthlessness were simply outrageous, raising humans as blood pigs to feed blood-sucking demon beasts. This kind of practice should be punished by the heavens. That's right, a bunch of animals worse than pigs and dogs. Now, no amount of cursing is of any use. Since we know that they are worse than pigs and dogs, there is no need to show mercy. Let's have an underground blood sacrifice. But the target of the blood sacrifice is not the blood pigs, but the disciples of the Shadow Devil sect. Ling Xiao's killing intent was boiling in his body. He was not a chivalrous hero, but he was still a young warrior with a sense of righteousness and conscience. Moreover, the Phantom sect had offended him and captured his sister from the Black Tortoise continent. How could he not understand killing intent? A terrifying killing intent filled the entire manor. Feng Huan, Wang Cheng, and Wang Peng couldn't help but shiver. With such a terrifying killing intent, just how strong was Ling Xiao? Their hearts were filled with doubts. What had this young man experienced? His killing intent was comparable to that of a fierce general who had killed thousands of enemies on the battlefield. No, it should be said that it was stronger. Wang Peng, you go first. Try to go to the governor's mansion, the Tianfeng group, and the 8 Immortal Mountain for help. After Ling Xiao finished speaking, he took out a formation refining stone. Then, a cocoon-like light circle appeared in the hall. This is a transmission array. Feng Huan and Wang Cheng were shocked. Yes, it can directly transmit to the surface, but it can only transmit 2 people at a time, and it will consume a lot of spirit stones. It can't be used again for 15 minutes. Ling Xiao sighed. This is already very powerful. I heard that the demon envoy seems to be able to make the same transmission array, but his transmission array can only transmit 1 person at a time, and it can't be used again for an hour. Feng Huan still maintained a shocked expression. The surprises that Ling Xiao brought her were simply too many. Now that her son had left, she and her husband had no worries. They only needed to do their best to save their daughter. Watching Wang Peng leave the transmission array, Feng Huan and Wang Cheng made up their minds. After saving their daughter, they would die for Ling Xiao. In that case, Ling Xiao could use the transmission array to send their daughter out of the devil's lair. Even if they died, they would be satisfied. The next day, the preparations for the vampiric sacrifice were coming to an end. Once again, someone ordered all the disciples of the Shadow Devil sect to head to the place of prayer. The so-called place of prayer was the place where Chen Wuyen and the demon envoy lived. That place had been transformed into the core of the array. When the time came, the array would be activated and its power would be greatly enhanced. In addition to the vampiric demonic beast, it would also require the prayers of many disciples. To put it bluntly, it was the power of the soul. After all, this vampiric sacrifice array was targeted at the entire 8 immortal city. If the power of the soul was not strong enough, it would be difficult to succeed. It's time for us to set off. Ling Xiao stepped out of the manor and smelled the thick smell of blood. Although the blood in the hall last night had dried up, the thick smell of blood still lingered in the air. Although the spies who had been killed had been stupid and impetuous, they had all been brave warriors who had tried to annihilate the Shadow Devil sect. Ling Xiao could not save them, but he would help them fulfill their wish. This way, even if they died, they would be able to rest in peace. A bunch of beasts in human skin. Looks like I, Ling Xiao, we'll be able to go on a killing spree today. Ever since Ling Xiao had entered the Samsara realm, he had kept a very low profile. However, time and time again, he had been forced to reveal his ruthless side. He had killed over 10,000 disciples of the Shadow Devil sect in the Ascension town. He had actually felt a little uncomfortable. After all, most of those disciples had been ordinary martialists. However, after seeing the actions of the Shadow Devil sect and hearing Feng Huan and the others' introduction, he had been filled with hatred. He only hated himself for not killing those guys earlier. Ordinary martialists had committed evil, but they had also committed evil. Just because they were ordinary didn't mean that they deserved sympathy. That would be too unfair to the people who had been killed or harmed. Many hypocritical sects had always advocated that even those from the heterodox Tao had dignity and rights. They could not be beaten or killed just because they were from the heterodox Tao. However, they had never considered whether the people who had been killed by these demons had received the dignity and rights they deserved. Ling Xiao abhorred this kind of thing. A life for a life was a matter of course. People who tried in vain to pretend to be pitiful and innocent after killing people were even more disgusting than those vicious fellows. Let's split up. You won't be able to stay with me from now on, but remember my plan. Chapter 2286. Ling Xiao, Feng Huan, and Wang Cheng separated for the time being. In addition to the rules of the Shadow Devil sect, Ling Xiao also arranged different tasks for each of them. Ling Xiao would focus on dealing with the experts of the Shadow Devil sect and attract their attention, while Feng Huan and Wang Cheng would focus on saving people. However, considering that the Shadow Devil sect would send a hall leader to deal with Feng Huan and Wang Cheng, Ling Xiao asked if the two of them could kill a hall leader. This was crucial. If they couldn't kill a hall leader, this plan couldn't be carried out. Ling Xiao had to stop the others and prevent more experts from dealing with Feng Huan and Wang Cheng. Young Hero Ling, be careful. Feng Huan and Wang Cheng nodded. They didn't believe that Ling Xiao was a match for those people, so they had to save Ling Jiao and their daughter as soon as possible. In this way, Ling Xiao could choose to escape. With Ling Xiao's strength and the strange teleportation formation, it shouldn't be a problem for him to escape. As for the vampire sacrifice that would destroy the Shadow Devil sect, they didn't even dare to think about it, unless the 8 Immortals Mountain and the Tianfeng group could really help. However, they were very clear that neither the Tianfeng group nor the 8 Immortals Mountain would believe Wang Peng's words. At this time, Wang Peng had been kicked out by the Tianfeng group. He had been slapped in the face and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. What kind of big sect are you? The 8 Immortals County is in danger and you don't plan to do anything? Get lost or I'll kill you. The Tianfeng group's martial artist kicked Wang Peng away. Wang Peng fell to the ground and wanted to fight for his life. However, on second thought, he couldn't die. The Tianfeng group's reluctance to help might have something to do with Qin Huiyan. So, he went to the 8 Immortals Mountain. However, when he arrived at the 8 Immortals Mountain, the situation was almost the same. The pitiful Wang Peng suffered another round of beating and was seriously injured. Luckily, Lin Ruoxian intervened and saved him. Lin Ruoxian listened to Wang Peng's words. Although she had some doubts, she still planned to report this matter to the sect. Of course, Wang Peng did not mention Ling Xiao because it was a secret that he did not want to reveal. It was a pity that Lin Ruoxian's report was still shelved by the sect. They did not take it seriously at all. Although he said that he was doing research, he didn't seem to care at all. Young Hero Ling is also a disciple of the 8 Immortals Mountain. But why is there such a big gap between us? Wang Peng couldn't help but mutter out of frustration. Did you say young Hero Ling? Lin Ruoxian asked. No, I didn't say anything about young Hero Ling. Since your 8 Immortals Mountain didn't help, then just wait for your bad luck. Perhaps nothing will happen to the 8 Immortals Mountain and the Heavenly Wind Group, but your people in the 8 Immortals County will suffer. Wang Peng said angrily. Follow me. Lin Ruoxian picked up Wang Peng and went straight to the Eight Immortals County Governor's office to find Lin Yuan. He asked Wang Peng to explain the situation. Words are not proof. Even if this official believes you, your words cannot convince the other members of the Lin family, let alone those soldiers. Lin Yuan sighed and said, "It would be great if the people outside could see the scene underground. In that case, I'm afraid that the Heavenly Wind Group and the Eight Immortals Mountain will have to take action." Hearing this, Lin Ruoxian's eyes lit up and said, "Good idea. Uncle Lin can do this." The Uncle Lin she mentioned was Lin Fengyuan, the shopkeeper of the Heavenly Dragon Trading Company in the Eighth Immortals County. The Heavenly Dragon Trading Company had broadcast various martial arts competitions to the entire Black Tortoise continent. There was no shortage of equipment. Lin Fengyuan told Lin Ruoxian that because there were no elemental towers in the city of the Night Dwellers, there was no way to transmit signals. Therefore, someone had to take the risk to sneak into the underground to broadcast. Wearing a portable elemental tower would suffice. "I'll go." Lin Ruoxian knew that the young hero Ling Wang Peng mentioned was Ling Xiao. How could she let Ling Xiao take the risk alone? Going through thick and thin together, sharing blessings together, this was what friends should do. As long as she could broadcast what was happening underground, it would be a great help to Ling Xiao. At that time, under the influence of public opinion, the Eight Immortals Mountain and the Heavenly Wind Group would have to take action. Ling Xiao naturally did not know what was happening outside. He did not have the leisure to care about that now. The vampiric sacrifice had begun, and his plan had also begun. Although the plan was perfect, if there was even the slightest mistake, it would lead to Ling Zhaojiao's tragic death. Even his life had to be forfeited. Therefore, it was impossible to say that he was not nervous at this time. It was just that Ling Xiao was good at controlling his emotions. He kept himself in a state of calmness. This way, he could more accurately carry out his plan. The vampiric sacrifice is the grandest ceremony of our Shadow Devil sect. This time, the sect master used the Eight Immortals County as a test. We must not disappoint him. Now, let's begin the first task. Kneel down and worship the sect master's portrait. The so-called portrait of the sect master could not be seen clearly. It was just a person wrapped in a black cloth. However, the disciples of the Shadow Devil sect were very sincere in their worship. Ling Xiao pretended to squat there, but his Tai Chi eye was searching for the whereabouts of Ling Zhaojiao and Feng Huan's daughter. Since he had promised the two of them that he would help them find their daughter, he would not go back on his word. Because there were too many martial artists who had been arrested, this created a big problem for Ling Xiao. However, he still found the Feng Huan couple's daughter and informed the two of them to go rescue her. However, Ling Zhaojiao's whereabouts were still unknown. Without finding Ling Zhaojiao, Ling Xiao did not dare to act rashly, because if he was exposed at this time, his plan would be ruined. After the worship, all the disciples of the Shadow Devil sect began to pray. A special prayer came out of their mouths. This prayer condensed into a blood shadow in the void, which was then injected into the vampiric array. Ling Xiao could clearly feel that the vampiric array was slowly activating. Fortunately, a formation of this level was not so easy to deal with. This also gave Ling Xiao some opportunities, allowing him to have more time to find the person he was looking for. Since the Tai Chi eye was not working, Ling Xiao simply released his Gemini martial souls to search together. After all, this was the most important purpose of his trip this time. Loyal disciples, your loyalty to the Shadow Devil sect will definitely be rewarded. Now that the prayer has begun and the array has been activated, the Eight Immortals County will completely belong to our Shadow Devil sect. Chen Wuyen began to give his speech excitedly. His words had a special magical power that made the disciples even more excited. Even the speed at which they recited the prayers became faster. As the prayers sped up, the activation of the vampiric array also sped up. Ling Xiao became even more nervous. Ling Zhaojiao had not been found yet, which made him feel uneasy. Young hero Ling, we found our daughter. According to him, a girl was imprisoned in the eye of the array, right between the eyebrows of the vampiric beast. Because the girl has the bloodline of the sword-saber divine emperor, she can make the vampiric beast stronger. Chapter 2287. Feng Huan and Wang Cheng successfully rescued their daughter. This was because everyone's attention was on the vampiric sacrifice. Moreover, the demon shadow sect believed that the spies had been eliminated. This was why their actions were so relaxed. Hearing this, Ling Xiao came to a sudden realization. His gaze abruptly shifted to his feet. This was the eye of the array, where the head of the vampiric monstrous beast was. This vampiric monstrous beast looked like an octopus, but it had many more tentacles. Its face was also more terrifying. Between the vampiric monstrous beast's eyebrows was the light of an array. Ling Jiaojiao was imprisoned there. At this time, Feng Huan and Wang Cheng were also discovered. No matter how weak the demon shadow sect's vigilance was, they still had a set of surveillance methods. After Feng Huan and Wang Cheng rescued their daughter, they were discovered. At the start, the Hall Masters planned to deal with the spies. However, the suspicious demon envoy ordered send a Hall Master to bring some people over. The other Hall Masters are to stay here. Be on guard against the enemy's plan to lure us away. Hearing this, Ling Xiao let out a sigh of relief. The two of you hide our daughter well, and then go save Jiao Jiao. I'll delay them here. Ling Xiao transmitted mentally. No, young hero Ling, listen. Your sister's situation is rather special. She seems to be imprisoned by an array. The two of us don't understand arrays, so it's impossible for us to save your sister. Listen to us. In a while, take advantage of the chaos and go save her. We'll be the bait. Our daughter and son are entrusted to you. Feng Huan said very calmly, You're a smart person. You understand what I'm saying, right? Although he was unwilling to admit it, Feng Huan was right. The plan had to be changed. He took a deep breath. Remembering the affection of Feng Huan and Wang Cheng, he transmitted mentally, Take care. No matter what, I'll protect your daughter and son. As for the two of you, I said that we'll leave together alive. I'll definitely do it. You don't have to fight head-on. You just have to stall for time. With your familiarity with this place and the fact that the Demon Shadow Sect has to send a large number of martial artists to guard the array, it shouldn't be a problem to last for an hour. We'll do our best. At this point, the plan had changed. Ling Xiao was no longer the bait. Instead, he had to save Ling Jiaojiao first. However, he only made minor adjustments to his plan and did not reject it completely. Since he said that he was going to save her, he didn't want to go back on his word. He couldn't care less about the others, but Feng Huan, Wang Cheng, their daughter, and Ling Jiaojiao had to stay alive. Stupid rat, you still dare to behave atrociously at this time. The blood-sucking Grand Array had been activated, and the entire 8 Immortals County was within the array. Even the 8 Immortals Mountain and the Heavenly Wind Group won't be able to escape this calamity. How can 1 or 2 rats overturn the heavens? The demon envoy's cold voice rang out, filled with confidence and cruelty. I know that some of the spies are very clever and manage to avoid my screening, but it's useless. After today, other than the people from the Shadow Devil sect, everyone else will become our blood pigs. Lord Demon Envoy, this seems to be different from what you told me. Chen Wuyan's expression changed greatly. Deacon Qin, why are you so surprised? I promised not to hurt Qin Changsheng, so I won't hurt him. However, the other people from the Heavenly Wind Group have nothing to do with you, right? The demon envoy sneered, The 8 Immortals County is the test of the Shadow Devil sect. If it doesn't succeed, it will affect the blood-sucking Grand Array in other places of the Shadow Devil sect. Therefore, I naturally have to maximize the range and power of the blood-sucking Grand Array. Do you have any objections? No. As if he had been brainwashed, the little bit of doubt that Chen Wuyan had disappeared in an instant. It seemed that he was really under the control of the demon envoy. activate the altar, and use the divine power of the sword and saber shinhuang to assist the blood-sucking demonic beast to complete the blood-sucking ritual. Chen Wuyan's expression became cold again. He waved his hand, and one of the hall masters pressed a certain mechanism. The altar rose. The huge head of the blood-sucking demonic beast appeared in front of everyone. It was ugly, repulsive, and extremely terrifying. Everyone was looking at the ferocious demonic beast in shock. However, Ling Zhao's eyes were fixed on Ling Jiaojiao, who was between the demonic beast's eyebrows. At this moment, Ling Jiaojiao had already woken up from her coma. Seeing this terrifying scene, she was trembling all over. She had once thought that she could protect her family and her most beloved brother, Ling Xiao, after awakening the martial soul of the sword and saber shinhuang. However, the disaster began from that moment. Although she did not know what would happen to her, the possibility of her death was very high. Chen Wuyan said coldly, "Do you know this woman? Her name is Ling Jiaojiao, a girl from the Ling family of Yuhua Town. Of course, you don't know such an insignificant woman. In the past, I was even more dismissive of her. However, not long ago, she awakened the martial soul of the sword and saber shinhuang. She has a noble bloodline that no one in the 8 Immortals County can surpass, nobler than the 8 big families of the 8 Immortals Mountain. The martial soul of the sword and saber shinhuang." In a dark place on the periphery, a woman exclaimed in her heart. At the same time, the small elemental tower that she was wearing successfully broadcasted the scene on the big screen in the 8 Immortals County Square. At this moment, everyone in the square was looking at the scene on the screen in astonishment. This is the rumored scene of the Demon Shadow Sect's blood sacrifice. Do you see it? That is the terrifying blood-sucking demonic beast. It will activate the blood-sucking formation and eventually turn the 8 Immortals County and the surrounding thousands of miles into the paradise of the Demon Shadow Sect. All the warriors will become their blood pigs for them to suck blood. Lin Ruoxian explained in a low voice. In fact, this was not the first time she had done such a thing. She had also been the host of the martial arts conference in the 8 Immortals County. Therefore, many people in the 8 Immortals County knew her. Isn't that Lin Ruoxian? What is she doing? What demon shadow sect? What blood-sucking sacrifice? The people were still in a state of confusion and did not know what was being broadcasted on the screen. But soon they understood. Chun Wuyen said it herself. Do you know? Before finding this girl, the success rate of the blood-sucking sacrifice was only 50%. But with her, to be exact, with the bloodline of the Sword-Saber Divine Emperor in her body, the success rate will instantly soar to 90%. Basically, the success rate is 100%. Chen Wuyan said excitedly, not only that, the range of the blood-sucking formation will also be greatly expanded. Originally, we were only targeting the 8 Immortals County. But now, even the 8 Immortals Mountain and the Tianfeng Group will be included. Now, do you understand how important she is? Not only that, after the blood-sucking sacrifice is completed, all the Demon Shadow Sect disciples who participate in the prayer will be promoted by 3 to 5 realms. Some will directly break through to the Yin-Yang realm. Those who are in the Yin-Yang realm will definitely be promoted by 1 realm. In other words, after the blood-sucking sacrifice, the Demon Shadow Sect will become a force second only to the 8 Immortals Mountain and the Tianfeng Group in the 8 Immortals County. Of course, the premise is that the 8 Immortals Mountain and the Tianfeng Group can survive this blood-sucking sacrifice. Chapter 2288. Chun Wuyen laughed maniacally. The disciples of the Spectre sect below were also shouting wantonly, like a group of crazy cultists, especially for those half-step Yin-Yang realm level 10 disciples. Entering the Yin-Yang realm was like a carp leaping over the dragon gate. They were completely reborn. Then Chen Wuyen looked at Ling Xiao and the other hall masters and said, "You've worked hard and contributed greatly, so you'll naturally receive more benefits." Perhaps he would soon reach the 3rd level of hell, or the peak of the 2nd level of hell of the Yin-Yang realm. At that time, you'll become important figures in the 8 Immortal City. Even the Eight Immortals Mountain and the Tianfeng group will have to be wary of you. A crazy scene appeared again. The hall masters and tens of thousands of disciples prostrated themselves on the ground and shouted loudly. The Demon Shadow sect will last for thousands of generations. Our sect leader will live forever, unify the mystic world, and achieve hegemony. Lin Ruoxian broadcasted this to the people in the Eight Immortal City. That's Chen Wuyan, the youngest son of the Tianfeng group's leader, Qin Changsheng. Why does he seem to be doing some cult ritual? It must be a joke. Our Eight Immortal City is unbreakable. That's right. It must be a joke. Up until now, most of the people still didn't take what they were seeing seriously. In their opinion, it was just a joke. If they did not take it seriously, those powerful families and warriors would not take it seriously either. Ling Jiaojiao opened her eyes and looked at this scene in despair. She was like a leaf in the cold wind, helpless and helpless. She did not know what to do. In the past, when she was in danger, it was Ling Xiao who saved her and the Ling family. But today, in this underground city, Ling Xiao would not know that something happened to her. Even if he knew, he would not be able to save her. The feeling of being all alone was not good. Ling Jiaojiao felt that she was too useless as the clan leader. Not only could she not protect the Ling family, but she might even implicate her brother, Ling Xiao, who she cared about the most. In Ling Jiaojiao's opinion, the demon envoys, deacons, and hall masters of the Demon Shadow sect were all terrifying figures. They were existences that could reach the heavens. They were the top experts in this world. After all, she was not a reincarnation realm warrior, so she did not know that there were existences that were much stronger than these people in the outside world. Despair? It was true despair. Ling Jiaojiao despair not because she might die, but because she could not tell her brother, Ling Xiao, how terrifying the Demon Shadow sect was. She could not let Ling Xiao escape. Lane. This was probably the only regret she had before she died. After all, of course, she was only a little girl in her age. However, when fear and strong longing collided, the longing for Ling Xiao won out. Her body, which was trembling violently, gradually stopped trembling. Ling Xiao knelt on one knee. Looking at Ling Jiaojiao, he heaved a sigh of relief. Of you, Wu Yan Yan, Wu Yan. He didn't even release the slightest killing intent. He had already begun to analyze the mysteries of the formation. A strange light kept flashing in the Taiji eye. But at this time the situation was very chaotic, so no one noticed his left eye under the black cloak. Anger was useless. Ling Xiao was very clear about this. After saving Ling Jiaojiao, he would turn the underground city of the Demon Shadow sect into ruins. Boom! Suddenly, a corpse fell onto the high platform. Everyone saw it clearly. It was one of the hall masters of the Demon Shadow sect. This hall master had just received orders to deal with the rats that had sneaked in. But now he was killed and his corpse was thrown on the stage. The scene was dead silent. Someone dared to slap the Demon Shadow sect in the face at such an important moment. That was impressive. Two figures, one black and one white, attacked the moment the corpse fell. Feng Huan and Wang Qing knew that Ling Xiao would only have a chance to save Ling Jiaojiao if they attracted everyone's attention. Their daughter had been hidden, but if the vampiric sacrifice was not stopped, she would still die. So they were fighting with their lives on the line. They did not hold back at all. They did not think that killing ordinary disciples would affect them much. So they directly attacked the protectors. Perhaps it was too sudden. Perhaps it was because they were stronger than the protectors. Or perhaps it was because the hall master's corpse attracted too much attention. Feng Huan and Wang Cheng attacked at once and killed almost all of the protectors. The power of their combined moves was still very terrifying. And at this moment, they had successfully attracted everyone's attention, including Ling Jiaojiao's. Ling Jiaojiao raised her head, looked at Feng Huan and Wang Cheng, and sighed helplessly. At this moment, she was extremely conflicted. She hoped that someone would come to save her. She hoped that her brother, Ling Xiao, would appear like a god. But on the other hand, She was worried that Ling Xiao would not be a match for these people. He would definitely be courting death if he came. On one hand, she was disappointed. On the other hand, she was worried. A girl's heart was so strange. All of you, attack together and kill those two people. Chen Wuyan gave the order for the remaining 4 hall masters to attack together. Naturally, one of them was Ling Xiao, disguised as Lu Tai. After receiving the order, the 4 of them attacked at the same time. However, at this moment, a black shadow suddenly appeared from behind and charged toward Chen Wuyan. Chen Wuyan was shocked by this sudden attack. At this moment, the demonic envoy could not save him because the demonic envoy was controlling the formation. And because he was not prepared, he could only hastily deal with this attack. Even if he did not die, he would definitely be seriously injured. Chen Feng! Someone saw the appearance of the person who ambushed Chen Wuyan and could not help but cry out in alarm. Currently, Chen Feng's eyes were lifeless. They were cold and empty as if he was a corpse. However, his movements were very agile and swift, exactly the same as when he was alive. Lord Deacon, I'm here to save you. Ling Xiao turned back halfway, and a cold smile appeared on his face. Naturally, Chen Feng had turned into a demonic corpse because of him. However, this ambush could not kill Chen Wuyan. Hence, Ling Xiao turned back and tried to gain Chen Wuyan's trust. With trust, when the situation became more serious, he would have a chance to approach Ling Jiaojiao openly. If he went to save Ling Jiaojiao now, the demonic envoy would definitely stop him. Puchi! The sharp weapon in Chen Feng's hand pierced through Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao blocked a seemingly fatal attack for Chen Wuyan. In fact, this was merely a performance. Bastard! Chapter 2289. Many, many thanks, Lord Deacon. This subordinate was just doing what I should do. Ling Xiao's face was deathly pale, cold sweat flowing down his forehead. Even the demon envoy was deceived by this scene. Originally, he still had some doubts about him, but now it was completely gone. He smiled at Ling Xiao and said, Hall Master Lu, I wronged you previously. In a while, I'll invite you to share that girl's flesh and blood. Share flesh and blood? Ling Xiao immediately felt nauseous. He had long been used to killing people, but sharing flesh and blood was truly an extremely disgusting method. He found it hard to understand, let alone accept it. Ha ha ha! Hall Master Lu, looks like you don't quite understand. It's normal. Generally speaking, our fiend shadow sect purely sucks blood because the most nutritious part of the human body is blood. However, this girl is somewhat special. Her bloodline is very special. It can be said that her entire body is a treasure. If you can devour it, it will be greatly beneficial to your cultivation. The demon envoy laughed loudly. Ling Xiao suppressed the anger and disgust in his heart and said to the demon envoy, Many thanks for Lord Demon Envoy's kindness. I will definitely sacrifice my life for the fiend shadow sect. Good. Ha ha ha, good. Little girl, you're very honored. When the time comes, you'll become a delicious meal in our stomachs. You'll die a worthy death. The demon envoy looked at Ling Jiaojiao and laughed loudly. You guys are worse than beasts. You'll definitely die a horrible death. It's best if you're cut into pieces and chopped into mincemeat. Definitely. Ling Jiaojiao gnashed her teeth and cursed loudly. The demon envoy laughed very proudly and made a strange sound. Then he said disdainfully, Die a horrible death? I've heard such words too many times. It's a pity that I've lived for decades and am still living well. If you want to talk about dying a horrible death, it should be you, little girl. Soon, you'll die very miserably. Ling Jiaojiao gritted her teeth and did not speak. In fact, she also felt very powerless about her cursing. If cursing was useful, this demon envoy would have died thousands of times already. It was impossible for him to live until now. Was there really no one who could deal with these bastards from the Fiend Shadow sect? She sighed helplessly. Her belief that evil people would be repaid with evil gradually became less firm. It's good that you don't say anything. You can only accept your fate. The demon envoy sneered. He closed his eyes and began to focus on controlling the great blood-sucking array. Due to Feng Huan and Wang Cheng's sudden appearance, the prayers of the Spectre Sect's disciples were temporarily disrupted. However, this situation would soon pass. Feng Huan and Wang Cheng were already surrounded by the 3 Hall Masters. They could only keep dodging, but the injuries on their bodies were still increasing. At this time, Ling Xiao suddenly jumped up from the ground and rushed to the forehead of the blood-sucking demon beast. His speed was extremely fast. Moreover, it was a sudden burst of strength. At this moment, no one realized what he was going to do. It wasn't until Ling Xiao undid the formation and released Ling Jiaojiao that the demon envoy and Chan Wuyan suddenly reacted. Lu Tai, what are you doing? Chan Wuyan said furiously. Lu Tai? Ha ha ha, Lu Tai, that bastard, was killed by me in Yuhua town long ago. A mere disguise was enough to fool you idiots. The Spectre Sect is just SOO. Ling Xiao pretended to tear off the disguise on his face, but in fact he just changed back to his original appearance. Ling Xiao. At that moment, the most shocked person was Ling Jiaojiao. At first, she didn't understand why Hall Master Lu would suddenly save her. Now that she saw that familiar face, her eyes were completely blurred in an instant. Her tears soaked her clothes, and she cried like a tearful person. Hey, you're an elder sister. Don't cry like that. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. Who told you that an elder sister can't cry? You idiot, why did you come? Although I'm very happy. Do you know that you can't get out now that you're here? Idiot, you're such a big idiot. Ling Jiaojiao shouted loudly. That was a kind of extreme happiness that came from the bottom of her heart. Of course, there was also a strong sense of worry. Her complex emotions completely exploded in an instant. Young Hero Ling, save them and leave quickly. Feng Huan shouted loudly. However, Ling Xiao had no intention of moving, standing on the head of the blood-sucking beast. Ling Xiao's expression was confident and cold. Of course, he had to save them, but he had to destroy the blood-sucking sacrifice. It wasn't because of a righteous and noble sentiment. It was because if he didn't destroy the blood-sucking sacrifice, even he wouldn't be able to survive. After all, the blood-sucking formation covered such a large area. Even if he had the array refining stone, he wouldn't be able to escape in time. You still have the mood to care about others? Go to hell. Seeing Feng Huan and Wang Cheng suddenly stop running, the 3 Hall Masters of the Spectre Sect of the 8 Immortals counter-attacked together. They wanted to kill the 2 in an instant. 3 attacks were launched at the 2 of them at the same time in an area of effect manner. Young Hero Ling, leave quickly. Feng Huan and Wang Qing knew that they couldn't escape this time, so they planned to use all their strength to kill one of the Hall Masters. In this way, they could reduce Ling Zhao's burden. However, at this moment, a dazzling sword chi fell from the sky and landed in front of the 2 of them. One sword chi had taken 3 lives. The 3 Hall Masters were all killed on the spot. Their throats were all pierced by the sword chi. Because they died too quickly, they were still in the attacking position. The scene was very strange. Feng Huan and Wang Qing looked at the scene in shock. They couldn't believe it. They knew that Ling Xiao was very strong, but they didn't expect that Ling Xiao was so strong. He killed the 3 Hall Masters of the Spectre Sect with 1 sword. This strength was probably outstanding among the disciples of the 8 Immortals Mountain. Stay here and heal well. When the sword chi landed, Ling Xiao also landed near Feng Huan and Wang Cheng. Then he raised his right hand and took out an array refining stone. It turned into a strange Vajra array, protecting Feng Huan, Wang Cheng, and Ling Jiaojiao. Since your injuries have healed, let's start killing. There are no innocent people here. All of them are worse than beasts. But young Hero Ling, you're facing so many people alone. How can you be a match for them? Feng Huan said in shock. Don't worry about me. We've been forced into a desperate situation today. Even if we escape, We can't escape the Vajra array. So, it's already a situation where either you die or I live. Ling Xiao shook his head gently. Since there was no way out, he became even calmer. When the only choice was to kill, then he would do his best. Whether he could win or not would only be known after the battle. After saying that, Ling Xiao reached into the corpses of the 3 hall masters and took out 3 demonic seeds. In addition to the demonic seeds that he took out from Yuan Zheng's body, there were 4 of them. These demonic seeds might be useless to others, but to him they were great supplements. Chapter 2290. He swallowed the 4 demon seeds. The energy released from Ling Xiao's body turned into a terrifying blood-red color in an instant, as if he was a devil. His current strength was barely enough to deal with Chen Wuyan, but to deal with the demon envoy he had to increase his cultivation to a higher level. Otherwise, there was no hope at all. Therefore, he swallowed the 4 demon seeds in order to break through his cultivation. Normally, he wouldn't dare to do this, but today there were so many people in front of him who deserved to die for him to vent his anger. Even if the demon seeds were too powerful, he could perfectly integrate them. At this time, more and more people gathered in the square of the 8 Immortal City. Among them were people from the 3 big families and the Heavenly Dragon Trading Company. There were also some disciples from the 8 Immortals Mountain and the Heavenly Wind Group. Someone recognized Ling Xiao. That person seems to be Ling Xiao, a disciple from the 8 Immortals Mountain. He was in the limelight during the ghost prison trial. Why is he fighting with Qin Wuyan again? Isn't he afraid of Qin Chongsheng? He really doesn't know what death is. I think he's quite powerful. For his sister, he barged into the demon's den alone. What a romantic thing to do. Among the crowd, there were people who looked down on Ling Xiao. Naturally, there were also women who were infatuated with him. However, until now, no one felt that it was a big problem. They even treated themselves as bystanders, watching a good show on the live broadcast. No matter how much Lin Ruoxian tried to explain, it was to no avail. If they didn't experience the real danger, they wouldn't know that Lin Ruoxian's words were true. Lin Ruoxian hid in the dark and didn't intervene in the battle, but she was ready to help Ling Xiao at any time. It wasn't time for her to take action yet. "You're Ling Xiao." Qin Wuyan looked at Ling Xiao. His eyes were bloodshot. He was furious because he felt that he was fooled. This was absolutely intolerable. "Where's Lu Tai? And those disciples of the Shadow Devil sect who went to Yuhua town, what happened to them?" "They're dead," Ling Xiao said lightly. "Impossible. With your strength, how could you kill so many people? Could it be that the 8 Immortal Mountain interfered?" Chen Wuyan frowned. He was really worried. If the 8 Immortals Mountain really interfered, then today's situation would not be easy to deal with. "I only represent myself. It has nothing to do with the 8 Immortals Mountain," Ling Xiao said indifferently. "Oh, right. Let me tell you something interesting. Qin Feng's subordinate, Skinny Monkey, is not a spy. The testing method of your Lord Demon Envoy is really useless. Also, Chen Feng's sneak attack on the Devil Envoy was also my doing." "Are you happy now?" The reason why he said all this was to disturb the other party's mind. After all, since he was weaker than the other party, he could not resort to normal means. "Chen Wuyan, kill him quickly. That brat is stalling for time. He should be trying to break through." The demon envoy suddenly roared. Chen Wuyan was stunned for a moment before he came back to his senses. Then he rushed toward Ling Xiao. Tisk! Seeing that his intentions had been seen through, Ling Xiao immediately used the moonlight meteor steps and started moving among the crowd at lightning speed. Every time he touched a disciple of the Devil's Shadow sect, one of them would be killed. Ling Xiao was probably the only one who could kill people in the process of cultivation. Instead, Qin Wuyan was blocked by his own people. His movement technique was not as good as Ling Xiao's. Facing so many obstacles, he was still unable to catch up with Ling Xiao. "Trash! Come over and control the blood-sucking Grand Array. Activate it as soon as possible. Don't worry too much. Even if the effect is not as good, it can still envelop the 8 Immortals County." Leave this brat to me. When the demon envoy saw that Chen Wuyan was unable to catch up with Ling Xiao, he became anxious. He roared and called Chen Wuyan over. Chen Wuyan controlled the blood-sucking Grand Array for him while he was free to deal with Ling Xiao. Blood spirit. The demon envoy roared and released countless blood-red, ghost-like things from his body. They charged into the crowd to capture Ling Xiao's figure. He knew that his movement technique was definitely not as good as Ling Xiao's. However, such means were enough to kill Ling Xiao. From the moment Ling Xiao killed the 3 hall masters and blended into the crowd until now, everyone gradually came back to their senses. Ling Jiao was still a little confused. Was that really my brother Ling Xiao? But how can he be so powerful? Although she saw Ling Xiao attack, she was a little doubtful. After all, when Ling Xiao left Yuhua town, compared to now, there was a huge difference. They were not on the same level at all. It should be. Feng Huan also found it hard to believe. She had already thought highly of Ling Xiao. However, at this moment, she realized that she did not understand Ling Xiao's strength at all. Even if she did not understand a little bit, that shocking sword strike was still reverberating in her mind. It was difficult to erase it for a long time. What are you all still standing there for? Kill those 3 people. The demon envoy roared as he chased Ling Xiao. The disciples of the Shadow Devil sect could pray and fight at the same time. This was not a problem. Hearing the demon envoy's order, they remembered that they could still fight. Thus, tens of thousands of people rushed toward Feng Huan, Wang Cheng, and Ling Jiao. Boom! A large number of attacks landed on the King Kong array. However, the King Kong array shone brightly and was not damaged at all. Instead, it seemed to have become even harder than before. Damn it! This King Kong array can actually absorb the attacker's internal energy and become even more unbreakable. You all hide, I'll do it! The demon envoy was the only one among them who was proficient in formations. Since the King Kong array could not be broken by force, he might as well use his ability to break it. He could see that Ling Xiao cared a lot about the girl called Ling Jiao. As long as he captured Ling Jiao, Ling Xiao would definitely not dare to continue escaping. The demon envoy rushed toward the King Kong array. Ling Xiao naturally knew that this was an extremely dangerous thing to do. He could feel that his cultivation was close to breaking through the first cycle of the Yin-Yang realm's first level, the peak of hell. Just a little bit more. However, at this time, he did not have the time to think about it. Although he knew that this was a trap, he had to stop the demon envoy. Of course, the method was a little different. In his fury, Ling Xiao's body flickered with lightning. Like a thunder god, his speed was extremely fast. He directly blasted toward the demon envoy's back. The demon envoy clearly did not expect Ling Xiao to be so fast. Originally, he wanted to take advantage of the time when Ling Xiao arrived to kill Ling Xiao. However, at this time, he had no choice but to hastily dodge. If Chen Feng could injure him, Ling Xiao would undoubtedly be able to injure him as well. Therefore, the demon envoy did not dare to be careless. Thunderbolt Meteor Sword Art. Thunderbolt Heavenly Fire! After failing to hit the demon envoy, Ling Xiao's attack did not stop there. The terrifying sword aura transformed into dozens of lightning bolts that directly landed among the crowd. Dozens of Devil Shadow sect disciples were killed on the spot. Chapter 2291. The 4 demonic seeds from before were enough for Ling Xiao to break through. Now the demonic seeds of dozens of Yin-Yang realm disciples had fused into his body. His cultivation had already reached a critical point. What a pity. I was so close. It looks like I'll have to fight the demon envoy face to face. Ling Xiao was very clear that the time when his cultivation rose the fastest was when he constantly battled with various powerhouses. Every time he fought, he would benefit greatly from it. Today, facing the demon envoy, Ling Xiao wanted to break through. Whether or not you're that trash Ling Xiao from that remote town, you've killed so many people from the Demon Shadow sect today. You'll die without a doubt. The demon envoy's expression became extremely ugly. He was here, and yet all of the hall masters had been killed, as well as all of the town-level executors. That left him with no face at all. It made him feel even more humiliated. I'll die? I don't think so. Ling Xiao was slightly disappointed that he didn't break through. However, after killing so many Yinyang realm martial artists with one strike, his heavenly fire had finally reached the transformative realm. It had reached the pinnacle of perfection. Once any move reached the transformative realm, not only would its power increase greatly, but it would also have some special effects. The special effect of Fallen was the gravitational pressure. When using Fall of the transformative realm, it would make the enemy feel a terrifying pressure. It would be as if their body was being pressed down by something terrifying, making them unable to move. Their internal strength would also become sluggish. He hadn't used the special effect of heavenly fire yet, so he would use the demon envoy as a test subject. No, you'll definitely die. But before I kill you, I want to know who you are and why you're using Ling Xiao's name to make an enemy out of the demon shadow sect? The demon envoy questioned coldly, with a clearest about Ling Xiao's strength. Killing my devil shadow sect's Mo Fengzi and those from the Mo family is already his limit. Who are you? I'm Ling Xiao. I'm the real deal. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Impossible. The demon envoy harshly said, forget it. It doesn't matter if you don't want to reveal your true identity now. Soon, I will make you speak the truth. Is he really not Ling Xiao? Feng Huan and Wang Cheng were also confused. They did not recognize Ling Xiao from Yuhua Town, but they had heard of this person before. He was a young martial artist who had killed Mo Fengzi, a disciple of the Devil's Shadow sect. However, his cultivation base shouldn't be at half-step Yin-Yang realm yet. It had only been a month, and he was already able to kill the hall master of the Shadow Devil sect? No matter how he thought about it, it was impossible. No, he's Ling Xiao, my little brother. The confusion on Ling Zhaojiao's face disappeared and was replaced by conviction. Perhaps Ling Xiao's strength confused her, but she understood Ling Xiao's character too well. There was no mistake. Looks like we really underestimated Ling Xiao back then. He's 10 times stronger than we thought. Feng Huan smiled bitterly. If they had known this earlier, they might have acted more calmly and not made some mistakes that they should not have made because they were anxious. Yes, young and promising. This Ling Xiao must be a disciple of the 8 Immortal Mountain. Wang Cheng sighed. No, unfortunately, I'm just an insignificant, ordinary disciple of the 8 Immortal Mountain. Ling Xiao looked at Wang Cheng and smiled faintly. However, you don't have to worry. I, Ling Xiao, said that I would let you out alive, and I won't go back on my words. You still want to go out alive? You really don't know how strong you are. The demon envoy sneered and unleashed his aura. At that moment, the disciples of the Devil's Shadow sect were overjoyed. However, Feng Huan, Wang Cheng, and Ling Zhaojiao's expressions changed drastically. 3rd level of Hell, Yin-Yang realm. This was the demon envoy's true cultivation base. His strength was enough to make people despair. Even Ling Xiao himself felt that he had no hope of winning, let alone the 3 of them. The only way was to expose his identity and ask the butterfly lady for help. The difference in strength was too great. Even if Ling Xiao used the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul, he wouldn't be the demon envoy's match. This was probably the most dangerous of the countless dangers he had encountered. I didn't expect the demon envoy to be so powerful. I'm really surprised. Ling Xiao had no intention of revealing what he was thinking. His expression remained cold and detached. He didn't seem to be afraid of the demon envoy. Pretentious. Without the help of the 8 Immortal Mountain, you're just a clown. The demon envoy looked at Ling Xiao with disdain. Whether I'm a clown or not, you'll know once you try. There's no need to talk nonsense. Ling Xiao stood there as his aura continued to rise. A terrifying killing intent formed a terrifying blood-red aura around his body. The people standing next to him began to tremble. What a strong killing intent. Looks like you've killed a lot of people, but it's a pity. You could have had a beautiful future. But today, you won't have the chance to regret. The demon envoy was stunned for a moment. Obviously, he was somewhat afraid of Ling Xiao's killing intent. Although his strength and cultivation were stronger than Ling Xiao, Ling Xiao's killing intent could crush him. Once the killing intent came into contact with him, his strength would be greatly reduced. Cut the crap. Let's do it. Ling Xiao hooked his finger and said, "Die, arrogant brat." The demon envoy soared into the sky and roared. Countless blood spirit condensed into a huge skull and pounced towards Ling Xiao. The air was filled with the aura of death. There were also ghostly wails and howls. At the same time, on a street in the 8 Immortal County, a tentacle suddenly stretched out. A martial artist who was walking on the street didn't have time to react and was sucked dry on the spot. In a luxurious manner, a group of martial artists in luxurious clothes were drinking and chatting. Dozens of tentacles suddenly stretched out and sucked the dozens of martial artists present dry. This scene happened almost simultaneously in the 8 Immortals County. Of course, there were powerful martial artists who avoided the tentacles, but they still couldn't avoid the effects of the blood-sucking array. They could clearly feel their blood qi constantly weakening. If a person's blood qi decreased to a certain level, they would definitely die. Even powerful yin-yang realm martial artists were no exception. Finally, the 8 Immortals County panicked. The martial artists in the 8 Immortals County Square understood that what they were seeing was not a game. It was a true evil sacrificial ceremony targeting the 8 Immortals County. Dozens of corpses that had been sucked dry already appeared on the square. The truth was right in front of them. They had no choice but to believe it. At this moment, everyone looked at the big screen at the same time. They looked at Ling Xiao on the screen. Their hopes were actually placed on this little-known little martial artist. They didn't know if they were lucky or unlucky. However, at this moment, they could only support Ling Xiao. Stop the blood-sucking array. Ling Xiao, I beg you. The 8 Immortals County needs you. Chapter 2292. Don't be sarcastic. It's our fault. As long as we can survive, we will do anything Ling Xiao asks us to do. At this time, many people silently swore and prayed in the crowd. They pinned their hopes on Ling Xiao. Of course, there were also some people who disdained Ling Xiao. For example, the Heavenly Wind Group and the 8 Immortals Mountain. The Heavenly Wind Group sent out their gold members, while the 8 Immortals Mountain sent out their disciples. However, they only sent one person. The gold member of the Heavenly Wind Group was called Chun Feng Xiao, while the disciple of the 8 Immortals Mountain was Sha Diao. In their opinion, the Devil Shadow sect could be easily destroyed by these two people. However, when Qin Feng Xiao and Sha Diao arrived at the underground city under Wang Peng's lead, they did not immediately take action. A meaningful sneer appeared on the faces of the two men. Why aren't you helping? Ling Xiao alone is definitely not the Devil Envoy's match. Wang Peng shouted anxiously, "Shut up!" Sha Diao knocked Wang Peng out with a palm. "It's ridiculous. Haven't you heard that heroes always appear at the last moment? Even if we want to take action, we have to wait until more of the people in the 8 Immortals County die. Then, those lowly guys will be grateful to us." Sha Jiao sneered. "Agreed." Chun Feng Xiao nodded with an indifferent face. The lives of ordinary martial artists were insignificant in their eyes. In fact, they wanted to see Ling Xiao killed by the Devil Envoy, and then they would take action. This way, their influence would be greater. The two of them looked at the battlefield at the same time. Although Ling Xiao could deal with the Devil Envoy with the Moonlight Meteor Step and Thunder Battle Body, but after a while he was suppressed by the Devil Envoy's huge blood spirit to a corner. Run? Why don't you run? Your movement skill is good. But unfortunately in this world it's not enough. Maybe I'm the nemesis of martial artists who are good at movement skills. The demon envoy coldly looked at Ling Xiao. a smug expression on his face. Although his attacks did not hit Ling Xiao, he relied on his familiarity with the terrain to trap Ling Xiao in a corner. This time, Ling Xiao had no chance at all. Everything is about to end. Kid, your death is at hand. If you are willing to tell the truth and tell me who you are, perhaps I can spare you. The demon envoy said indifferently. You're crazy. I've already said it many times. I'm Ling Xiao, a disciple of the Black Immortal Mountain of the 8 Immortal Mountains. Ling Xiao said grumpily, Since you're so stubborn, then you can die. This next move is my strongest move. It's also a move that I've condensed my blood and qi for many years. Using it to send you on your way is a supreme honor for you. With ridicule and anger, the phantom of a giant scythe condensed behind the demon envoy. The phantom was wearing a black cloak and looked like a skeleton from head to toe. Only its eyes flickered with a blood-red glow, as if they could steal one's soul. The death deity, martial spirit. This is the martial spirit that my sect leader bestowed upon me. Its strength is comparable to the 9 great dragon souls and the 12 immortal martial spirits of the Archean era. As the demon envoy spoke, a giant blood-red scythe appeared in his hand. On the blade, a cold glow flickered as energy continued to condense. Then, I'm really lucky to meet you. However, your death deity martial spirit should be a replica made by your sect leader. Although it's quite powerful, it's a pity that it can't be compared to the 9 great dragon souls. Ling Xiao had the Tai Chi eye, so he could see that the demon envoy's martial spirit was not the real thing. It was a replica made with a very powerful technique. Although martial spirits were not unique, many people could have the same martial spirit. However, there were some martial spirits that were very special. They were unique and there was no second one. For example, the 9 great dragon souls, the 12 immortal martial spirits, the death deity martial spirit, etc. Of course, there was also the tyrannical martial spirit. If one wanted to obtain these martial spirits, they would have to die. How dare you blaspheme the sect leader's reward? You deserve death. The demon envoy was very angry. He could not accept that someone dared to say that his martial spirit was a replica. His aura became even more strange and powerful. Ling Xiao, leave quickly. I believe that with your strength, you will be able to escape successfully. Don't worry about me, leave. Ling Jiaojiao wanted to believe in her brother, Ling Xiao. However, the cruel reality in front of her told her that Ling Xiao was not the demon envoy's opponent. She did not want to harm Ling Xiao because of her, so she screamed hysterically. Her cries resounded throughout the underground. I, Ling Xiao, have never done something like leaving my family behind to escape. I have never done it before, and I will never do it in the future. Moreover, I will never die. Ling Jiaojiao only heard this sentence before she saw the demon envoy launch an attack on Ling Xiao. Blood filled the sky. Ling Xiao's figure seemed to be swallowed by the huge god of death. That kid is dead for sure. Should we make a move? In the dark, Sha Jiao glanced disdainfully and said to Qinfeng Xiao, Your 8 Immortal Mountains disciples are too useless. I was hoping that he would be able to seriously injure the demon envoy before he died. That way, it would be easier for us to deal with him. Qinfeng Xiao sneered and rushed out. That kid is not worthy to be a disciple of the Devil Shadow sect. Sha Jiao snorted and rushed out at the same time. These 2 people were extremely powerful. Their terrifying auras were stronger than that of the demon envoy. When the 2 figures appeared on the big screen, many people forgot about Ling Xiao's existence and became incomparably excited. It's Qinfeng Xiao. It's Sha Jiao. Great, the Tianfeng Group and the 8 Immortal Mountain have finally sent experts. With them, we can finally be saved. That Ling Xiao's performance was not bad. It's a pity that he died. After his death, he will be posthumously conferred as the hero of the 8 Immortals County. That's true. No matter what, he tried his best, although he didn't achieve anything. Why are you saying it so nicely? That Ling Xiao is a trash who overestimated his own capabilities. He should have reported to the 8 Immortals Mountain when he knew that the Devil Shadow sect was doing such a thing. He deserved to die. Yes, he deserved to die. Most of the people who said such heartless words were from the Zhou family and the Xin family. There were also some disciples of the 8 Immortals Mountain who were related to the Sha family and the Tianfeng group. They thought that Ling Xiao was a trash who was greedy for merit. Not only did he not contribute, but he also ruined the reputation of the 8 Immortals Mountain. His death was too good for Ling Xiao. Death sighed bloodlust. There was a loud bang, and the big screen seemed to shake for a moment. The demon envoy not only wrapped Ling Xiao with a terrifying bloody light, but also released a terrifying attack.